California, hoping to raise awareness and bring Danielle Staley home. Staley was last seen at a beach bonfire near Rio Del Mar on November 6th. Her sister and stepdad passed out flyers in the area trying to find anyone who knows more about what happened to her. They also created a Facebook page, Help Find Danielle Staley, to aid with the search. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The job market is rough as graduating high school and college students face unprecedented challenges. ABC's Jim Ryan reports.
Freshly minted graduates beginning their search for employment will be competing not only with each other, but with artificial intelligence. The job search site Indeed suggests fine-tuning the soft skills that AI doesn't have: conflict resolution, decision-making, interpersonal communication. What's more, AI can be used by job seekers to write effective resumes and to rehearse job interviews. In other words, fighting AI with AI. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 86 points to 47,061. Coming up, we still got a few traffic slow spots and cloudy skies, but the rain's moved out. KSL weather and traffic's next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
This holiday season, give the gift of love that lasts a lifetime with Duke's Jewelers. For over 75 years, the Dukes family has been part of Utah Valley's story, helping yours celebrate life's most cherished moments since 1948. Dukes is more than a jewelry store. They're craftsmen, creating timeless pieces and custom designs that capture the magic of the holidays. Whether it's a sparkling necklace, a custom ring, or restoring a family heirloom, Duke's Jewelers pours their heart into every gift. Because jewelry isn't just about sparkle, it's about love and legacy. This Christmas, make your loved one feel like part of the Dukes family. Find the perfect gift at Duke's Jewelers, located at 220 South Main in Springville, or shop online at dukesjewelers.com. Duke's Jewelers, celebrating love and tradition since 1948.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
As the temperature sinks a little lower and the wind blows a little harder, next thing you know, the winter cold is going to be seeping in through your old drafty windows. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products for custom-crafted, state-of-the-art windows that'll seal up your house and cut your heating bill. Get on their schedule before winter, and not only do you get factory direct pricing far below what the big-name companies charged, but Advanced will knock an extra $2,500 off your quote. They'll create beautiful double-pane windows with insulated frames, any style, any color, and the security features to keep your family safe. You'll get a lifetime warranty from a local company in business here for 39 years. Financing? 60 months, 0%. Or even buy now, pay later. So make the call. Seal up the house for winter with $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Cormac Bone.
Well, we have a report of a crash on northbound Bangalore Highway at 4100 South. I can't see it on the cams quite yet, but we do have those delays starting at 4700 South. And northbound I-15 has delays as you approach 13th South. Andy. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, the rain clearing. It'll be partly cloudy with highs in the 50s. Tomorrow will be a little sunnier with a small chance of rain in the evening. Right now it's 46 degrees and mostly cloudy. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Today it's Holly Richardson and Dave Colley, award-winning podcast host of It's Cold.
Yeah, that's right, the Cold Podcast.
And an investigative journalist and a really, really great storyteller. So today, I think the most shocking news over the weekend is that President Trump has done a 180 on his position on the Epstein files.
Yeah, this was really interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah. So all of a sudden, from, this is a Democratic hoax, he's still calling it that, to this is, taking away from the business of the day. Stop doing that. He was putting pressure on Republicans to pull their name off the discharge petition. And now he says he is encouraging House Republicans to release it. So that will happen, I'm sure. So ABC senior political correspondent Rachel Scott has more on that.
Facing mounting pressure from his own party to release the Jeffrey Epstein files, President Trump reversing course, now encouraging Republicans to back the move just one day before the critical vote. The president writing on social media, House Republicans should vote to release the Epstein files because we have nothing to hide, and it's time to move on from this Democrat hoax. But for days, the president has lashed out at the very Republicans who signed a petition to force that vote in the House.
So it's one of the things he continued on Truth Social saying it's time to move on from this Democratic hoax. So it was such a hoax that Prince Andrew lost his title. He lost his 30-bedroom home that he was living in, right? That there's a woman sitting in jail for trafficking victims, but it was a hoax perpetuated starting, I don't know, more than 20 years ago. Anyway, he also, there was a big rift between a previous really strong supporter, and that's Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. And she just would not back down on the Epstein things. So he had a lot to say about that. So among the worst of his attacks were on Marjorie. So Rachel Scott tells us more about that.
President Trump repeatedly going after one of his closest allies and staunchest defenders, Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, calling Greene a traitor and wacky, saying he's now withdrawing his support and endorsement, even dismissing death threats she says she received in the wake of his attacks.
I don't think her life is in danger. Frankly, I don't think anybody cares about her.
Greene was one of the 4 Republicans who signed on to that petition to force that vote in the House.
It's really, sometimes it's amazing, although I think all of the previous people who were fired by President Trump in the last administration, right, would say, look, it's all about loyalty. And he didn't feel she was loyal enough. And so he's gone after her and just repeatedly. One of the things that's interesting to me has been her response. So I don't know if you saw this over the weekend, but she was on CNN. She actually apologized for previous behavior of hers, which is really interesting. So she got some pushback, right, about her previous comments. This is, she was on with, I think, Dana Bash, but she said, she was asked, why didn't you denounce Trump's rhetoric before, only after he came after you? And she said this, that's fair criticism. And she said, I'd like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country. And she said the Charlie Kirk assassination that happened here in Utah was a wake-up call. And she said she pledged to put down the knives in politics. I think America needs to come together and end all the toxic, dangerous rhetoric and divide. And I'm leading the way with my own example. I hope President Trump can do the same.
Now, Holly, hearing that, and especially coming from Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think, okay, now let's see if you live that in practice, right? Like, It's one thing to say it.
Right.
It's another thing to do it. And if she's being earnest and heartfelt about that, we need a lot more of that.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So it will be very interesting to see. You talk about loyalty and kind of this idea with President Trump of, it's all about loyalty. Once you're not loyal, you're in the doghouse.
Right.
Loyalty is also a two-way street.
Yeah.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has been a staunch defender of the president for a long time. And,
Yeah.
and so you say, well, where's the loyalty the other way?
You know, it's interesting. One of the things when I started to see her start to, I guess, break from the administration and their position on the Epstein files was because she said, we campaign on this. Like, I campaigned for you on this issue because you campaigned your whole, you know, basically the 2024 cycle on we're going to release these documents and now you're letting down your base, right? And then she just got, I guess, stronger and stronger in that. Some people are wondering why President Trump why he reversed course. I'm not 100% sure, but I will say this. So Thomas Massie, he's Republican from Kentucky, and he's the one who started the discharge petition. He had to get 218 names. He got those. But before President Trump reversed his position, Massie said he thought at least 100 Republicans were going to vote yes to force the vote. So there's still some Republicans who don't. But now I think with Trump changing course, this could be overwhelming. And we do have a texter who says, well, the hoax part is that Trump is in it. I think it's clear that President Trump is in it.
Right.
There have been a lot of photos, a lot of emails that have been released that he did know Epstein. He admits that. We'll see.
Well, and being in the files, you know, in quotation marks, that can mean a lot of different things, right? Just because there was an investigation and your name gets brought in, whether you did anything or not, we don't know because we haven't seen those files. So being in the files, so to speak, until we have some clarity on in what way, who's bringing maybe the president's name into it, right? How far back does that go? It's fairly nebulous to say, well, he's in the files.
Well, I think, again, at this point, we've had tens of thousands of pages, I think, released through a variety of sources, including the Epstein estate, actually, which is where we've gotten some of the more recent email correspondence, emails from Epstein during President Trump's first administration. So that was interesting, too. But, yeah, you're right. We don't know for sure, right? And I think we're going to see. But the process is it has to pass the House.
Right.
Then it has to pass the Senate. Then it goes to the president for him to sign it, just like a law, right, being enacted. So if he vetoes it, then it has to be veto-proof. So we'll see.
And that's an interesting thing, too. If you've already come out and said, well, I support them, you know, go ahead
Releasing
and vote for
it,
and then you veto it, right?
That would be interesting.
I mean, there are a lot of interesting things. The other thing, I think, when you look at this whole deal is politically, if you are the president, if you're the White House, regardless of what is in or not in those files, do you want to see over the next X number of years, I mean, potentially through the entire rest of this term, a slow drip, piece by piece, that just keeps it in the headlines? Or would you rather just get this out and get it through the cycle?
I think one of the things that we've talked about on Inside Sources before is that as this started to really become an issue earlier in the year, I think there were a lot of different things that happened to maybe try and divert attention, whether that was, you know, boats in Venezuela or releasing just this weekend. I think they released the Amelia Earhart files, but this is a story that just had legs, right? It just continued. It just does not go away. I think the call for the release has gotten stronger and stronger. And when I saw that President Trump reversed course, it reminded me of the story that I heard of President Nixon, who was told, you don't have the support, you will be impeached. And that is why he resigned. So not exactly the same situation, but similar, where now there are so many people in theory who are behind releasing these files that they're going to be released.
There are tides.
Yeah. All right. Did you know that there's a local FBI dive team?
I did not know
Well,
this.
I didn't either.
Learn something new every day.
They're involved in a local murder investigation. We're going to talk with a former FBI agent when we come back.
Hard to believe, but Black Friday's here, and you know what that means. It's time for Black Friday money deals at UCCU.
There is an annual tradition now for Black Friday at UCCU where people look forward to, because unlike other Black Friday sales, Black Friday at UCCU is your chance to actually improve your finances.
Like a home equity loan with extra 0.25% off the intro rate, auto and RV loans with no payment for 90 days, low-rate credit cards with 0% interest for 6 months, and $150 cash just for signing up for direct deposit.
It's so easy, and that's just the beginning of Black Friday money deals. Keep going to uccu.com every week for new premium deals that will unlock, and they're things like cutting your auto loan rate in half, to earning a higher interest rate on your savings, enter each week for a chance to win these awesome prizes.
But you got to visit uccu.com every week. But if you come back and enter every time a new deal unlocks, you can win them all. So don't just enter once. Go every week, unlock every deal, and win big this Black Friday at UCCU.
UCCU, you're going to love where you bank.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does it feel like someone stabbing a knife into your heel? Or does your lower back give you problems as the day goes on? The Good Feet store wants to help you, like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100%.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet store. Put my foot on the arch support system. I put them in my shoes, my back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet store. You gave me my active life back.
Learn more or schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com and come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet store. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Just how good is Pure Talk's current deal for unlimited wireless? Well, you might say it's the deal of your lifetime. Because right now, for just $29.95 a month, Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for life. Not your phone's life, your life. This is Pure Talk's top-tier plan. It comes with a crazy fast 5G network along with a 30-gig hotspot. And at just $29.95 a month, there has never been a better opportunity to lock in a ridiculously low rate for as long as you live. And save thousands and thousands of dollars along the way. This plan is normally $65 a month, but if you switch today, you will save over 50% every single month for the rest of your life. See what I mean? It really is the deal of your lifetime. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. Offer ends 12/7. Some restrictions apply. Details at puretalk.com.
There's no place like home, but home ownership is slipping away in Utah. And young Utahns are being priced out of their own communities. The U.S. economy is built on the idea that 30% of your income should go towards housing. But in Utah, families are spending nearly 66% just to keep a roof overhead. On top of that, the average homeowner in Utah has nearly $400,000 in net worth. For renters, it's barely $10,000. And with Utah already on track to be short more than 153,000 homes by 2030, that gap is only growing. Every community in Utah plays a part in finding solutions. More homes mean more opportunity for teachers, nurses, police officers, and every family that makes Utah what it is. Learn more about Utah's housing shortage and what we can do to begin to fix it at demandmoresupply.com. That's demandmoresupply.com. Make your voice heard right now. Log on to demandmoresupply.com. demandmoresupply.com. Together, we can keep families close.
Culligan Water. Healthy, pure, clean drinking water. Cleaner laundry, and even softer skin and hair. Call Culligan today, 801-509-9602. Culligan Water. Water you love.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for kids, teens, or young adults. It's just not.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals and volatile organic compounds into your body.
And nicotine, the same highly addictive substance found in regular cigarettes.
Nicotine can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
Affecting learning, memory, attention, and impulse control, and priming the brain for other addictions.
Vaping products also come in kid-friendly flavors that can make them appealing to youth.
And many kids also use other drugs, like marijuana, in vaping devices.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media,
many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping, because when you talk, they hear you.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So nearly 8 months ago, a mother and her 8-year-old son were killed in their Saratoga Springs home. And Dave, you have experience doing cold cases. Is this a cold case?
Yeah, it's really interesting, right? This homicide has occurred months and months ago. We really haven't heard a lot about it in the time since, but from what I am seeing today, the answer to is this a cold case is absolutely not. because we just heard this morning that Saratoga Springs Police and the FBI are going into the Jordan River to look for evidence. Now, they're not telling us, at least in the press release that we got, what kind of evidence. I think we're going to maybe get some insight on that here in a second. But I wanted to kind of orient you in space here. Where we're talking about, this section of the Jordan River is right north of where it comes out of Utah Lake. And if you're familiar with Lehigh, Saratoga Springs, you've got Crossroads Boulevard that comes and intersects with Redwood Road. There's a big Walmart there. Traffic grid. Anybody that drives through here knows is really terrible traffic, right? There's a little condo community just right kind of at that intersection, right along the Jordan River. And this homicide back in March took place on a street there called Willowbrook Lane. And we understand where this operation today is taking place, actually right now, is just behind that condo on the Jordan River.
Well, we have with us former FBI agent Greg Rogers to talk to us about what's going on today. Thanks for joining us, Greg.
You bet. Good morning.
Very first question, why would the FBI get involved in an investigation like this?
We are routinely asked by local police departments to assist in cases when we can bring assets that are helpful. And in this case, obviously, it's a dive team to look for evidence in a cold and murky river.
Greg, I'm thinking about Saratoga Springs Police Department. Saratoga Springs isn't a small town, but not every single municipality, as you point out, has its own, dive team, SWAT team. And so this is really something where partnering with a federal agency that has that specialty can really help out, right?
Yes, and again, we do it. It's as easy as a phone call, and we're happy to assist. These cases, of course, aren't prosecuted federally, but we're happy to help out other law enforcement agencies and do it routinely.
You mentioned murky and cold, which is what I think about in November, and bodies of water. So first of all, what do you think they're hoping to find? And second of all, how do they navigate the murkiness in there?
It's very technical, specialized equipment, because that's my guess is they're looking for a firearm. You're not going to be able to see it, so you have to bring a very specialized dive team that are going to be in what are called dry suits, because the water is so cold and it's got a current, so you can't just get in your normal wetsuit and go down in there. You wouldn't be able to stay in but just a number of minutes. So you get in these dry suits that keep you warmer and you can stay down longer. But you need very high-tech specialized equipment to be examining the bottom of that river, because whatever's been in there likely has been in there since March. So it's covered in sediment. You're not going to be able to see it. You're going to have to find it with equipment that's made to search for metals and things like that in those sorts of difficult environments.
Greg, I've done a little bit of river rafting in my day. I've definitely worn a dry suit. I've also done swiftwater rescue training, and I can tell you this does not sound like fun to somebody like myself. This
is a really technical dive. This isn't it's not fun. It's even in dry suits, as you know, it's cold and there's a current coming out because where it's coming out of Utah Lake, so they're roped up. So this is a really technical dive.
So I'm thinking about, this morning we get word from Saratoga Springs Police, hey, we're doing this operation. We want the public to know. And I'll be frank, in covering a lot of crime over the years, and even in this case, right, we've had very little information from the investigating agency. This is kind of a shift, and I'm wondering, do you think it's just because, people will notice that there are, FBI vehicles out in the community and they'll ask questions? Why would a police agency want to kind of get out in front on the public messaging side of an operation like this?
I think you're absolutely correct in your assumption that you're going to see the FBI vehicles are going to be have identifying markings on them. There's going to be all that going on. So this is a way to let the public know that there's something going on, but also to be able to keep them away from having a bunch of people showing up and trying to figure out what's happening. But they're still being very cautious about letting it out what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. And there's good reason for that. So I understand why they're doing that. But again, my guess is they're looking for a firearm, because there hasn't been one recovered in this case. And that's a logical assumption, or something in the investigation has led them to believe that someone probably threw a firearm into that river right behind the condominium.
We're speaking with former FBI agent Greg Rogers, and Greg, I just don't know these things, especially not like you and Dave know. If you threw a firearm in a river with a current, is it going to go downstream? I mean, how big is the area they're going to have to search?
The current isn't that fast. The firearm has enough weight that it's going to sink. It's going to move a little bit, and it's going to get buried in sediment, and it is going to continue to move a little bit. It's not so heavy that it won't be affected by the current at all, especially this. The firearm in this case is a .22 caliber pistol, believed to be, which is a really light firearm. So it's going to have moved a bit, no question, and that's why, and you're sort of guessing as to if it was thrown and just sort of thrown off the bank, or if somebody really heaved back and gave it a heck of a throw, which you could do with that size of firearm, and you could throw it a good distance. So they're going to be covering, my guess is probably something in like a quarter-mile range. So they're going to be out there all day today, and maybe tomorrow.
This is something, Greg, where obviously I think you kind of touched on this a second ago, but we don't have a suspect, a named suspect. Presumably the investigators, they may, but they're being very cautious, in part because they don't want to spoil a potential, criminal case down the road. So for those of us in the public that are watching, I think we can draw some inferences, but also we're probably not going to get a press conference at the end of the day saying, here's what we found or didn't find.
I would be very surprised if that happens, because they haven't indicated what they're looking for. So if there's any kind of press release at all, it's probably going to be something to the effect of very general, like we're searching for evidence, and haven't located what it is we're looking for. But it's going to be very very general and not specific.
So if they do find a firearm, are they looking at ballistics? Well, I'm assuming there's no fingerprints at this point.
They're highly unlikely that you'd find prints on it if it's been down in the water that long and covered in sediment. But you would be able to, the ballistics, the barrel's going to be fine. You would still be able to do ballistics to see if that was the firearm that fired those rounds at the homicide. And there's going to be registration information that could be interesting. The registration is going to come back to somebody, and that's where you start. Might come back to the actual shooter if they were not careful enough to get a gun that wasn't registered to them. But it also may come back to some other citizen, and then interviews start there, and that guy says, "Oh yeah, I sold it to this person." So that just gets that gets some leads going. So there'll be all sorts of benefits to finding that firearm.
Yeah, thank you so much. We've been speaking with former FBI agent Greg Rogers. And, just a different topic. In Utah, motorcycle deaths are up 40%.
No way.
It's
40%?
really, it seems like so much. We're going to talk with Utah Highway Patrol when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. This morning, the FAA is allowing Salt Lake City and other major airports to resume their normal flight schedules, meaning all the cancellations and delays we've been seeing should finally be coming to an end. Steve Yeager shared his thoughts about the news when he was traveling through the Denver airport.
I'm glad that it ended before Thanksgiving. I've got family coming into town. Looks like they'll be able to make it here.
Salt Lake City International was one of 40 airports ordered to cut flights by as much as 10% during the shutdown, causing thousands of delays and cancellations over the last week and a half. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. It comes just in time as AAA predicts record Thanksgiving travel numbers. ABC's transportation correspondent Gio Benitez reports.
They expect nearly 82 million Americans to travel this holiday period. That's actually 1.6 million more than last year. You remember that was record-breaking. This is a new record now. So no matter how you're planning to travel, it's a really good idea to schedule that travel for early in the morning. That way you can avoid a lot of the hassle later on.
6 million U.S. travelers are expected to take domestic flights over the holiday. Your money at this moment, the Dow down 105 points to 47,042. Coming up, we still have a few wet spots on the commute and some crashes to tell you about. Traffic and weather together is coming up next. KSL News Time 9:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
Do you remember what was happening in America? Families struggling, billions in wasteful spending. But Senator Mike Lee fought back. He voted for working family tax cuts, and Senator Lee voted to crack down on waste, fraud, and abuse, saving taxpayers billions. So call Senator Mike Lee at 202-224-5444 and thank him for supporting the Working Families Tax Cut. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
The KSL News Radio Movie Show comes to My Hearing Centers Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility, he knows keeping the line up and running is a top priority. That's why he chooses Grainger. Because when a drive belt gets damaged, Grainger makes it easy to find the exact specs for the replacement product he needs. And next day delivery helps ensure he'll have everything in place and running like clockwork. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Traffic and weather together now brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Cormac Bone.
Well, a disabled vehicle on eastbound I-80 in Parley's Canyon. This is as you approach Lambs Canyon. They are in the left shoulder and causing some light delay. And the crash in Layton on Hillfield Road on the east side of Layton Hills Mall is still blocking that southeast entrance to the mall. But I-15 looks healthy with no accidents or delays in both directions from Ogden to Provo. Kick off the season at Junction Commons Park City. Join them for the tree lighting Thursday, November 20th at 4 p.m. Festive fun, crafts, music, and the big tree light up. Don't miss it. I'm Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, the rain's clearing. Today will be partly cloudy with highs in the 50s. Tomorrow, a little sunnier with a small chance of rain in the evening. Right now, it's mostly cloudy and 46 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Today I'm joined by Dave Colley, so thanks for being here in studio with me. Look, last year Utah set a record of 53 total motorcycle-related deaths. This year we're at 66.
Oh my gosh.
We're just a little bit over 40% more. And you were telling me during the break that you just saw an almost accident.
Well, I mean, I almost caused an almost accident with a motorcycle. I was going to a family dinner last night, hopping on I-15. I drive a 4Runner, so it's a pretty big car, right? And it's obviously getting dark pretty early now. So it's like dusky kind of time, like half the people have their headlights on. I pull on the freeway. I move to the left, pass another on-ramp, and I was getting ready to make a lane change, and this motorcycle had come up this on-ramp and zipped around. And I swear, if I had not been just looking at the right moment in my rear view, I would have clipped this guy.
Yeah.
And it's one of those, you kind of catch the wheel and like, oh my gosh, did that just happen kind of moments. And I feel like that's happening a lot.
Yeah. I agree, and I see that. So now that I am commuting from Utah County up here into downtown Salt Lake every day, I feel like I see it at least a couple times a week where I think, oh my gosh, just weaving in and out of highway traffic going really fast, much faster sometimes than the cars are going.
Right.
It feels like. So we have on the line with us Utah Highway Patrol Sergeant Mike Alexander. Thanks for joining us, Sergeant.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate your time.
Can you talk to us about what do you think is leading to the uptick in these fatal motorcycle accidents?
Well, I think it's a number of different factors. I think we're seeing an increase in the number of motorcycles on Utah's roadways. I think we're seeing an increase in just dangerous driving behaviors, excess speed, DUI, impairment-related type crashes. And so all of these are kind of adding up to be kind of the perfect storm this year to where we have a huge increase in the number of motorcycle fatalities this year over the last couple of years past.
What are some of the factors that go into, like, survivability? I'm thinking about, if I'm on a motorcycle on a freeway in Utah and the prevailing traffic around me is doing, let's be generous and say 70. I mean, that's a lot of just kinetic energy if you're on a bike and you get in a wreck at that kind of speed, right?
Yeah. So anytime, a motorcyclist is riding down the road, any of the mitigating factors that they can add up in their own favor is obviously to their benefit. So, we're talking about things like gear. The obvious one that helps absolutely the most is having a good quality helmet. Be able to protect your head, your brain, your neck, all of those areas that are critical and absolutely vital to your life. You've got to make sure you have the helmet on, and other things, other protective gear, leather boots, leather gloves, some kind of jacket or vest or something along those lines to protect your vital areas around your chest and stomach area. Protective pants, abrasion-resistant gear, those type of things. Eyewear, especially. I don't know how many times I've been riding my UHP motorcycle down the road, and my glasses saved my eyes. So those type of things would absolutely add up to be in the favor of motorcycle riders to protect them as much as possible in terms of the gear side of things.
So I'm seeing a KSL article that mentions that only just over a third of riders who were in these fatal crashes had motorcycle license endorsements. Like, I actually thought you couldn't ride without a motorcycle license. Am I incorrect?
Yeah, so the law does state that without a motorcycle endorsement on your license or a learning permit or something along those lines, you are not to be on a roadway, on a motorcycle. But, we obviously see as you're driving down the road, as you introduce the topic today, we see illegal things happen on the roads all the time. And so, along those lines, we are seeing some folks disobeying the motorcycle endorsement laws, which is important. There's an important education aspect to that motorcycle endorsement and a knowledge aspect, just having basic understanding of the laws that govern motorcycle riding in the state of Utah.
Sergeant, we're obviously putting a lot of focus on the behaviors of motorcycle riders, and I'm thinking for myself, I don't ride, and yet worst case, like I can imagine, would be hitting a motorcycle as a driver of a car. Have you ever had a situation where you were on your bike and you pulled someone over and they went, "Gosh, I didn't even see you there"?
Yeah, riding around along the Wasatch Front on our freeways on a UHP motorcycle, it would happen frequently. I would say at least a couple times a week, someone would attempt to change lanes. They weren't checking their blind spots properly, and they would come into my lane, and naturally, as a police officer, I would pull them over for the violation and have a discussion with them. And all too often, it was a situation where they just did not see me. And because of the way that we're trained as UHP troopers to ride motorcycles, I was very, very observant and careful in how I ride around other vehicles. And so I was able to take the proper evasive maneuvers to avoid a collision. And again, like you said, it is a shared responsibility. It's easy to focus on the violations that we observe motorcycle riders committing, but there's violations that occur on the other side of things where people driving just regular motor vehicles are committing violations that put motorcyclists in danger as well.
Could you speak further to that? How can car, truck, SUV drivers, how can they be either more aware or more careful when it comes to motorcyclists?
So again, it's just slowing down, allowing, the proper amount of space between you and the vehicles around you. If you have to take sudden, evasive action, if you try to make a sudden lane change without checking your blind spots and your mirrors properly, if you're weaving through traffic, you may not see a vehicle that is significantly smaller than a car. You may not see somebody, riding a motorcycle next to you, behind you, in front of you. And, if we slow down, if we take a little bit of extra time to create that safety buffer for ourselves and everyone else on the road, it does create a safer experience for the motorcycle riders as well.
Thank you, Sergeant. We have a texter who asked this. What can you do if they're a driver, if you see a motorcycle going maybe 100 miles an hour, weaving in and out? Is there action people can take? Can they call 911? Can they call the non-emergency number? What should drivers do? Yeah,
so either one of those is, a proper course of action. If they want to call 911 and report a reckless driver, we receive those all the time, and we do have troopers, stationed throughout different areas in the county, and we absolutely do our best to intercept those drivers. They create a dangerous situation for everyone. And so anytime that we're able to intercept those because someone has called in, that's a good situation and a win for the people in the state of Utah.
And would that apply to vehicle drivers that are not motorcycles as well? Right?
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. Every vehicle on the road, is subject to the laws of the state of Utah. And so if anyone's driving recklessly, any citizen in the state, anybody traveling through our state can absolutely call dispatch and report those vehicles to us.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We've been speaking with UHP Sergeant Mike Alexander about the motorcycle deaths in Utah. And people are still driving. I mean, we haven't had the bad snows yet or anything, so they're still on the road.
I mean, I was just thinking about this, Holly. When I'm in my car, I'm perfect, and I never do anything wrong.
Right.
Everybody else around me is an idiot.
Right.
But hearing from him, that really makes me self-reflect and be like, no, I need to be totally aware when I'm behind the wheel.
Yeah, super aware. So you actually, speaking of driving and traveling, you have a trip planned to Arches National Park next week.
I do, and I'm grateful that the government is back open.
That's right. And you also have some thoughts on some graffiti down there. We'll talk about that when we come back.
You know what? I think the holidays are the worst time of year for your furnace to go out. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and every November it feels like people get extra stressed when faced with the need to replace their furnace. The money they've been saving is supposed to go to Christmas, and now they're faced with a choice: Christmas or comfort. This holiday season, Any Hour Services wants to help alleviate some of that stress with our special holiday financing. No money down and no payments until next year. Plus, if you schedule a free estimate before the end of November, Any Hour Services will give you $2,500 off any full system you buy. And that doesn't even factor in the rebates and incentives you might qualify for. Again, during the month of November, Any Hour Services will give you $2,500 off any furnace and air conditioner you buy. And you can take advantage of our special holiday financing with no money down and no payments until next year. For more details, call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Hi, this is Doug Wright, and it truly is time now to officially start getting ready for the holidays and planning for Thanksgiving and Christmas, all of the great events that we love at this time of year. And as you start putting together your Thanksgiving festivities and feast, it's time to go to NPS. Any one of their 4 great locations, 2 stores in Salt Lake, 1 in Layton, and 1 in Orem. You are going to find so much of what you are looking for at incredible savings. 20 to 70% off retail each and every day in each and every store. Best of all, each of those stores will have different savings that are just off the charts on top of the already incredible value. It's time for treasure hunting at its best, for stocking up for the holidays. It's waiting for you. It's a nice place to shop. NPS.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Utah can count on.
This is Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Way back in 1989, I started servicing hot tubs in Park City, and I learned the hard way in the freezing winter in the mountains that hot tubs are not built for Utah's harsh climate. I then found the Arctic Spa, the most northern manufacturer of hot tubs built specifically for the northern climates. Arctic Spas use perimeter insulation similar to your house where the outside walls are insulated. This allows us to utilize the excess heat from the motors to help heat the water and reduce your electric cost each month. Since then, we have sold 10,000 Arctic Spas here in Utah. We've learned that Arctic Spas last longer because they are built stronger. You can just feel the difference. Arctic Spas are easier to fix because we put access panels all the way around the spa, which makes it less expensive for you. Add this to the lower electric bills each month, and you end up with the least expensive hot tub to own over the long term. Arctic Spas, with stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George, or online at arcticspasutah.com. Arctic Spas, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
The Utah Mammoth and Smiths are teaming up to get you to the game with qualifying Smiths purchases. You can score single goal view tickets, hot dog and a bottle of water included for just $15. The catch? These tickets go fast. Download the Utah Mammoth app, enable push notifications, and be the first to know when new tickets are released. Shop at Smiths, then snag your seat for $15. Simple. Grab the Utah Mammoth app today and watch for the next release. Tusks up.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. I'm here to warn you about telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Some of these scammers may say threatening things like you will be arrested if you don't make payments or provide personal information. Do not fall for these tricks. These calls are not from us. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you for information or money. If you receive a call like this, hang up. Never give the caller your personal information, like your Social Security number or bank account, or send money in any form, cash, gift cards, wire transfers, or prepaid debit cards. Report the call to our law enforcement arm, the Office of the Inspector General, at oig.ssa.gov. Share this information with your friends and family.
Inside Sources.
I am KSL investigative reporter Dave Cawley, sitting in for Greg Skordas with Holly Richardson here. Holly, do you have any plans for Thanksgiving?
I will be feeding a lot of people.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Family gathering, friends?
We do it every year, and we have to cook 2 turkeys because we have a large family, and we wanted to make sure we have leftovers because who doesn't love turkey sandwiches like the day after? So anyway, so I'm not going anywhere. People will come to me.
Well, I disappointed my own mother. I told her that I was not going to be coming home for Thanksgiving. I am taking a road trip. I have a friend who's never been to Arches or Canyonlands National Park, and I said, this is probably a good time to go. At the time I made this plan, though, the government was in shutdown.
Right.
And I was having this kind of like question for myself of, should we go if the park is closed but not closed because Utah is staffing the parks, but they don't really have all the rangers, right?
Right.
Kind of funny thing.
Yeah.
And, several weeks ago, I was sitting in when you were out with Greg, and we actually talked to somebody from the state tourism office about, why this is so important to have the parks open during a shutdown for the communities that depend on the tourism dollars and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then last week, the shutdown ends. I take a big, breath, go, okay, great, that's resolved. And then I start seeing these articles about the graffiti that turned up in Arches National Park, and it just steamed me so bad. If you haven't, I think you've seen this, but like somebody went through with white spray paint, it looks like.
It looks like that.
And they're just like, or scratching into the rocks. And so, because they didn't have the rangers in the park during the shutdown, when they came back, they find all this I say graffiti, but I mean, it just breaks my heart to see that somebody would do this.
We have KSL News Radio's Reagan Edelman to tell us more about the graffiti.
Visitors and park officials spotted vandalism near Landscape Arch in the Devil's Garden area. Deseret News said that it was white spray paint depicting smiley faces and other doodles and what looked like the word grug numerous times. With the ongoing government shutdown, fewer rangers have been working despite national parks remaining open. The staff has less manpower to protect the park and enforce its rules, not just regarding vandalism. Deseret News said visitors to the park also saw toilet paper scattered across the landscapes and dogs on trails where they are not allowed. Reagan Edelman, KSL News Radio.
It's kind of gross because the toilet paper was used.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of years reporting for a podcast called You in a Triangle.
Oh, yeah. Such a good one, by the way.
Thank you for that. That involves spending a lot of times in the High Uintas Wilderness, which, although it's not a national park, I would say we're talking about the same kind of thing. It's an outdoor space that we all share. And I have found all kinds of trash, including used toilet paper.
Oh, that's just gross.
In the wilderness, right? And if I can go back to thinking about, like, when I was a kid, I went on a trip one time with my dad and my brother. We went down to Natural Bridges National Monument.
Oh, yeah.
So, down in the southeast part of the state. And we did a hike through the canyon at Natural Bridges, and there was a Native American dwelling site down there. And I remember we walked up to it. There was some rock art on the wall, and my dad goes, "Oh, look at this vandalism. Somebody put their handprint on the wall on this cultural site," and da-da-da. Later that day, after we finished our hike, we go to a ranger program where they're talking about hundreds of years ago, the people that inhabited these dwelling sites, painting their hands and put these handprints on the wall, and don't touch them,
right?
Because the oils from your hand today will degrade that rock art. And so, unknowingly, we had gone in and done the exact thing you're not supposed to do, which
touched them.
Go touch them,
Yeah.
right? And so that's like, in my memory, such a core thing of like, this is the value of the rangers doing this job of interpreting for the public, helping us understand how to respectfully and appropriately visit these kinds of spaces. And when we have something like a government shutdown and we keep the parks open, there is this risk that we're seeing with this vandalism, right? If we don't have somebody there serving that function of helping remind the public of how to do this responsibly, bad things can happen.
So let me ask you this in your experience, because there's a lot of land for, even when the government's fully open, there's a lot of land for rangers to cover. How does being fully staffed, how is it going to prevent this graffiti?
I think fair question. I was reading one of these articles in the state I'm trying to remember the acronym. Anyway, they have a historic preservation office, right?
Uh-huh.
And they work with volunteers. And when the shutdown started, they actually talked about, we're putting volunteers out in sensitive places because we're concerned about what might happen without anybody policing there. Now, to be fair, in all the years that I've spent hiking, traveling in Utah, encounters with rangers, law enforcement, BLM, Forest Service, they're very rare because they do not have enough people. But I think it's kind of like when you're driving down the highway. You know, we just talked to the highway patrol in our last segment about, like, you may not see a trooper, but you're always in the back of your mind, what if there's one behind me and I just don't see him?
Right.
Maybe they're just around the corner and they're going to catch me doing this.
Right.
The other side of that, Holly, is I think, you know, when we go out to these places and we're sharing them, especially the national parks that get millions of visitors every year, we all are policing each other.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we, I think, all have a role to play in keeping our eyes out on what the other people who are out in these spaces are doing. You know, if you see somebody who is a bad actor, who is vandalizing, scratching their name in the rock, now, you know, do you want to cause a confrontation that's going to turn physical? No, but can you take a photograph?
Right.
Record where this was, report it to the proper authorities.
Right.
You know, so I think we all kind of play a role there.
I have another question for you. So you mentioned specifically seeing rock art, and when I think of graffiti or vandalism, that's what I think is that people are defacing not just rocks, but actually rock art, or, you know, these older dwellings or something. If that happens, is there a way to clean that up? Do you even know?
Yeah, so from covering some of these kinds of stories in the past, I can tell you there are, depending on the type of damage, some ways to mitigate vandalism. Now, paint on a surface, like if you think about sandstone, it's going to erode over time, right? So you can go in and you can scrape that off, but you are taking a layer off. And if you say spray paint over top of you know, a pictograph, a panel that was already there from hundreds of years ago, that is destructive.
Yeah.
And you will destroy that rock art in the process of removing the graffiti.
So you just leave the graffiti?
Well, I'm not a specialist in this. I think you have to kind of, if you are the National Park Service or the Bureau of Land Management, you're thinking about, well, if you leave that graffiti, it's going to encourage more graffiti. Right? So you have to do something to get rid of it. But you are balancing that destruction, right, once the harm is done, against not wanting to encourage more people to do the same.
Yeah, it just surprises me that anybody would do that, right? It's like, what are you thinking? I don't understand that type of behavior, and maybe they think it's funny. I remember seeing the news story, it's been a few years now, but it was the scout troop and the scout leaders, I think, knocking over hoodoos or something, right, in Goblin Valley.
Oh, yes.
Right, and thinking it was really funny. Not funny.
Yeah, so you film yourself doing a thing, you put it on the internet for clout, and suddenly you become internationally, you know, infamous,
right?
Because you toppled this rock. Don't be that person, right? Don't be the one who you know, posts your art to social media. Now, you want to create art? Great, please do that.
Yeah.
Just don't deface our wonderful natural spaces in the process.
So just in the last minute or so, when you go down there, what are you hoping to take your friend to see?
Okay, so that's a great question. As a first-time visitor to Arches National Park, I was like, come on, you got to do Delicate Arch, right? I grit my teeth because it's always so crowded, but for good reason. I want to do the Fiery Furnace, you know, go in there. If you've never been, that's really fun, wandering around through the fins and everything. And then, of course, if you're going over to Canyonlands, Island in the Sky, Dead Horse Point, just those, like, crazy dramatic vistas. I'm hoping the weather is good because I've definitely been up there in the winter where the clouds fill the valleys and you're up at Island in the Sky and you can't see. So fingers crossed that works out all right.
So if you're going over Thanksgiving, do you think it will be just as crowded, or do you think it'll be less so?
Yeah, that's a great question. I can tell you Arches does not have their timed entry going right now, which is usually an indication they expect less crowds. But let's be frank, these the off seasons you used to be able to get at national parks in Utah, those are gone.
Yeah,
so
great.
It'll be busy.
All right, stay with us. We'll be back right after the break.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour: local police and the FBI are currently looking in the Jordan River for any evidence that could help solve a double murder that happened in Saratoga Springs earlier this year. KSL News Radio's Adam Small is at the scene.
Saratoga Springs police called on the FBI's dive team to help them look for evidence that could help them solve who killed Jessica Lyman and her 8-year-old son, Eli Painter, in her home back in March. Now, police are not telling us exactly what they're looking for here today, but they say now is the best time to get into the river because the water level is lower. In search warrants obtained by KSL earlier this year, we learned police obtained shell casings, but they never mentioned finding a gun, so that could be one of the things that they're still looking for.
Police still have not named any suspect in the case. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: record travel numbers expected for Thanksgiving. ABC's Gio Benitez reports.
They expect nearly 82 million Americans to travel this holiday period. That's actually 1.6 million more than last year. You remember that was record-breaking. This is a new record now. So no matter how you're planning to travel, it's a really good idea to schedule that travel for early in the morning. That way you can avoid a lot of the hassle later on.
6 million U.S. travelers are expected to fly somewhere for the holiday weekend. Your money at this moment: the Dow down 6 points, so almost flat at 47,140. Coming up, we've got rain moving out today, but maybe coming back tomorrow. We'll check traffic and weather together next. KSL News Time 10:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Or are they promising you up to 10% growth per year, all for your retirement income? If not, then you need to come to Trajan Wealth. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you have a plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hardworking folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't keep working when you're supposed to be retired, and don't let any financial advisor tell you it's too good to be true. Call Trajan today, 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Annuities, non-advisory products. DBA Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions. Additional disclosures at trajanwealth.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
SLC Fat Loss is having a huge holiday sale. Over $400 off, making it our lowest prices of the entire year now through December 31st. We know the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day with no exercising, no injections or surgery. You can start the program before, during, or after the holidays. No more losing weight and gaining it all back. Help reset your metabolism and keep the weight off for good. Go to slcfatloss.com and save big now through December 31st only.
I'm Jeff Kaplan. I hit my goal in 7 short weeks. 30 pounds all but melted away, and I wasn't even hungry. Even better, they taught me how to keep the weight off. I feel great and healthy.
Take advantage of the lowest prices of the entire year. But hurry, limited spots available. Many clients lose 20 to 30 pounds in just 60 days. Do the program in person or virtually from anywhere. Schedule your free consultation now at slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com. Results may vary.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Let's check in with Cormac Bone.
We are still seeing a disabled vehicle eastbound on I-80 in Parley's Canyon as you approach Parley's Summit. They're in that left shoulder and causing some very light delays in there. We also have a new crash in Davis County. This is on northbound on Main Street in Clearfield, just past 650 North. They are in the right shoulder and not causing delays there either. And eastbound I-80 seeing some light delays between I-215's West Belt and I-15. From system install to fast fixes to deliver award-winning heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Call Whipple Service Champions for the win today. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, we're looking for a high of 56 degrees. The rain has moved out from this morning, but it could be back by Wednesday. Wednesday, we'll start to see temperatures dip until the mid-40s by Friday. Right now, it is 48 degrees and cloudy in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
I am Holly Richardson, and I'm joined in studio today by Dave Colley, KSL investigative reporter and podcast host extraordinaire. So if you have not listened to Cold, listen to that. If you haven't listened to the Yonah Triangle, that was the one that gripped me. It's like, oh my goodness. All right.
That's a beautiful plug. Thank you, Holly.
Well, it's sincere. Have you ever used AI in any of your investigative stuff? Not that you'll admit.
Well, so here's the funny thing. I for a lot of my life was a very early adopter on technology, and the AI wave, I will admit, I did not catch it, and I have some serious concerns about it in my line of work.
Yeah.
Right?
Interesting. Yeah.
I
can
think
imagine
it's
a
fascinating
mistake, right?
technology, but also like
AI hallucination and
going?
investigations. Yeah.
Misinformation.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, Jeff Bezos decided he was not going to miss out on the AI party, and so he has started a new company. It's called Prometheus AI, and he already has $6.2 billion in funding, and it's supposed to be focused on using AI in manufacturing computers, automobiles, and spacecrafts. So just a different take on AI
I'm getting
use.
2001 Space Odyssey
Right?
vibes, right? Like the AI will make the computer that will strand our astronauts in space.
That's right. So we actually have on the line with us Brandon Amaker. He's the Director of Emerging Tech Policy and the Instructor of National Security, I think at UVU. Is that right, Brandon?
Yeah, that's correct.
All right. So thanks for joining us, first of all. So tell us, why do you think Bezos is getting into this place? And is there room for another AI startup?
It's a really good question, and I think if you look at this, a large part of this funding, $6.5 billion or $6.2 billion, not a small amount by any means, but I think it's interesting to see that Amazon did put up a large amount of that money, and I think the particular focus of this startup is interesting. As what we've seen so far, a lot of kind of these really heavily funded AI entities have been kind of generalist focused, meaning, hey, we're trying to create artificial general intelligence. We're trying to create these large language models which have very, very broad applicability. So it's interesting to see that this is a very heavily funded, very heavily backed Silicon Valley-based startup that is focused on specifically manufacturing space and kind of advanced, mechanical applications. So it is interesting. Is there space for this? I think there's some speculation about whether or not AI is a bubble right now, but it does show some maturity in the market to see startups being less generalist and more kind of specifically focused.
Brandon, I'm thinking about just kind of the disruptive nature of AI in a lot of industries. I just mentioned my own, right? In journalism, it's having a pretty profound impact. And I'm wondering if, some people in the engineering sector, if you are somebody who designs spacecraft, you might think, well, I'm so specialized, AI is not going to, come and challenge my job. And yet this, to me, would be potentially saying, don't get too comfortable.
Yeah, I think people who are wise about AI, in my personal opinion, should view it as something that is additive, not something that's going to replace human ingenuity. I think your hesitancy to implement AI in journalism is very well founded. I think it can be a useful tool, but if you use it to replace kind of some of these key critical components, for example, in spacecraft, I would not feel comfortable having an AI engine do the final safety check on a vehicle that I'm strapping myself to that's going to shoot me into space. But if it can be used to automate some of the lower level tasks for the engineer so that the human engineers actually have more time to spend on those critical tasks that we really want a human in the loop on, then great. That actually could increase the amount of human attention to detail that we get if they're not worried so much about some of this day-to-day, very replicable stuff that takes up a lot of their time. So it's something that I think could be really good if it's well implemented, but also does have a lot of potential hazards and is potentially very disruptive.
So Jeff Bezos stepped down as the chief executive of Amazon in 2021, and this seems to be a new foray. Do you have thoughts on why he might be doing this right now? Is it just because he can see where the market's going and he wants to play a part of it, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to speak to his, whatever his personal situation or motivations may be, but at the very least, it does seem to be a massive vote of confidence behind this idea and this entity, that they really think that this could be something that could seize this massive, massive market for industrial AI, essentially. And I think he is probably also aware of the PR aspect of throwing his name behind it in an operational role, that it was going to generate headlines. That's going to, in turn, one, pull in a lot of interest from investors, potential customers, and also really kind of build confidence in something that, hey, this is a startup, sure, but hey, it's not a normal startup because you've got Jeff Bezos behind it in an operational role, and you've got $6.5 billion of funding, which once again, highly unusual for a startup.
Yeah, I'm thinking back to like Henry Ford innovating with like production assembly line stuff, right? And we don't know today, obviously, where this startup will go, but you can certainly see that if you're somebody in Bezos's shoes, there is potential there with all the resources at your command to revolutionize in ways that we can't even think about, the way automobiles, airplanes, spaceships, all that stuff is made in the future. That makes a heck of a lot of sense why he would want to be in that game.
Absolutely. And I think, the manufacturing market, if you could even increase efficiency in that by, 2%, that is billions and billions and billions of dollars of, value that you're adding to the economy. So the total addressable market is absolutely massive if it can actually deliver on what it's promising to do.
So as an instructor of national security, what is your view of this type of AI on the impacts of potentially for national security?
It's a great question. And I think my approach to this type of thing is that technological progress is always something where functionality usually gets placed before people thinking about policy or security. Typically, when you see massive innovations, it's being driven by the tech industry in a way that's focused on, hey, we're going to develop this new functionality and think about all the good it will do. And then after it kind of gets out into the world, then the security people come along and they say, hey, we haven't really thought about this, or hey, this problem is arising. Now we need to create more policies that will kind of hem this in. And I think that pattern is pretty universal across different technological adaptations. And we're already starting to see that with different applications of AI, like the hallucination, some of this weird emotional attachment that people are starting to develop to these models. And now, retroactively, we're having to go through and say, okay, well, how do we fix this? How do we make sure that this doesn't happen or that this doesn't get worse? Similarly, with this type of thing, I mean, it's going to be touching some very, very sensitive areas. I mean, aerospace, manufacturing, all very critical to national security. And so I would hope that, using that $6.2 billion of funding, they'll have a very robust security team that will try to get out in front of some of the potential security issues or, implications of if we become very reliant on this technology for advanced manufacturing, does it create a single point of failure? Does it create an entryway for, foreign nation states or malicious actors to gain a ton of intelligence on our critical sectors very quickly? So I think security would have to be a very, very forward-leaning area for this type of an organization.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. That was Brandon Amaker, Director of Emerging Tech Policy and Instructor of National Security at UVU. When we come back, we're going to talk about grocery prices and the announcement that President Trump just made by executive order that he's dropping tariffs on some imported foods. We'll talk about what's impacted when we come back after the break.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I bowl in 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you at high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
Bill Riley here with University of Utah head football coach Kyle Whittingham. Now tell me, Coach Witt, what's your philosophy on a winning team?
I believe the key to winning is a strong offensive line. When the linemen do their job, nothing gets through to the quarterback, so he can do his job.
Well, what happens if the linemen don't do their job?
Ouch. You know, Bill, I recently learned that kidneys work like linemen for your body. When your kidneys work, they block poisons and chemicals from your blood.
Coach, I've heard that 1 in 9 Americans have some form of kidney disease. What can we do to fight back?
Join me, Coach Kyle Whittingham, and be part of the winning team against kidney disease. Donate your used car or truck to the Kidney Foundation. Your car will be towed for free, and you'll get a receipt for a tax deduction. Tell them how to do that, Bill.
Donate your car to the Kidney Foundation today and make your car a kidney car. Cars to save lives. Call 1-800-TOW-CARS. That's TOW CARS. Cars with a K. 1-800-TOW-CAR.
Every year, the National Kidney Foundation helps individuals and families affected by kidney disease. Help them out by making your car a kidney car. Call 1-800-TOW-CARS.
For over 22 years, speaking on business on KSL News Radio has been a beloved tradition, celebrating our heroic business leaders and Utah consumers who have helped build one of the strongest state economies in the nation. Now, under the stewardship of the Salt Lake Chamber and hosted by Chamber President and CEO Derek Miller, the program continues to shine a spotlight on those who make Utah's business environment dynamic and thriving. With his expertise and passion, Derek brings the stories of our business community to life. As part of the Salt Lake Chamber, Speaking on Business is proud to continue its legacy of highlighting inspiring stories, trends, and special guests. Support Utah businesses now and be part of Utah's thriving economy. More information can be found at slchamber.com. That's slchamber.com.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Need to replace your Social Security card? In most states, you can request one online with a My Social Security account.
A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can also get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
The new Inside Sources.
So before we talk about tariffs, I want to just answer a texter's question, and they texted in and said, do you have any idea why there's a heavy police presence and helicopter activity in Saratoga Springs? And that was what we talked about earlier in the show at 9:20 about the FBI sending in a dive team to look for potential evidence in that March murder in Saratoga Springs.
That's right. Yeah. So we had Eli Painter, 8 years old, and Jessica Lyman, 44 years old, who were killed, both shot in this homicide. It's basically been very quiet from Saratoga Springs police since March about this. We know there were some search warrants that were unsealed a couple months ago, but this is the first big activity we've seen. And right now, Holly, we're looking at a live video that's actually coming in. The helicopter that they were asking about is Chopper 5 because we're monitoring, and I can see 2 people right now on the bank of the Jordan River down there in Saratoga Springs walking with a metal detector, and I can actually see the footprints in the mud on the side of the river. They've obviously been walking back and forth in a grid, swinging this metal detector. So we earlier heard from a former FBI agent who was telling us, they're probably looking for a gun. They're not telling us what they're looking for, but we can draw some inference that, if they're using a metal detector, they're thinking there is something metal in the mud there that they're looking to find.
Yeah, that's interesting. I do have a quick question for you. So both you and the FBI agent, which is Greg Rogers, talked about a dry suit. I didn't know there was something different than a wetsuit. Can you just tell us what a dry suit is?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know about it more from the realm of river running, where if you're paddling or rowing a river in the middle of winter, you're going to want a dry suit. Where a wetsuit holds water against your body and your body warms that water up, a dry suit is, as the name implies, is completely dry. So you have rubber gaskets at your wrists, at your neck, and full boots. Typically in the winter, you would wear something like fleece under it to stay warm. So you could be in the water and be totally dry. Wow. Underwater even, potentially on a dive like this.
That sounds a little claustrophobic
to
me.
Yeah. It's like wearing a plastic bag, but in fact, we're getting another view right now from Chopper 5 showing 2 presumably agents or police officers who were in a pond. It looks like some water that, as the river level dropped, was left in the mud, and they are up to their waists in that muddy water.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about tariffs. So on Friday, President Trump signed an executive order to get rid of tariffs on some grocery items, including beef, which we've talked about, coffee, tropical fruits, which include bananas and mangoes. I think after it was clear that grocery prices were not really dropping on most things and that tariffs actually are an added tax. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So this is a tough time to be talking about affordability of food, right? Everyone's looking forward to Thanksgiving, and I think we're going to talk a little bit later about some of the specifics around that. There's a political, obviously, calculus that goes on here, because when you're talking about dropping it on beef, there's a large lobby of cattle ranchers in America, right?
And they were unhappy.
Extremely unhappy, right? So in some ways you go, well, is this really about prices for the consumer, or is this about recognizing that you have maybe part of your base that's riled up by, how these tariffs have really impacted their industry?
Yeah, it's interesting. So it also includes tomatoes. So I'm not a coffee drinker, but I know that we don't grow coffee really in the United States. There's a little bit from Kona in Hawaii, right? But most of our coffee, our bananas, they come from other places. Avocados, right? They don't come from here.
Try growing an avocado here and tell me how that works out for you.
Well, maybe a little bit in California, but still, it's not enough to supply the demand. Yeah. So.
Right.
It's interesting because one of the things I'm seeing in the Washington Post is that President Trump is defensive, saying, "Look, the economy is better." But I think what we're seeing more and more polls come out the president's approval rating is dropping, and especially as it looks at the economy and how people are feeling about the economy. People are not happy, and that is Republicans and Democrats alike, to your point.
Well, I think the economy, regardless of who's in power, when you go to the store to buy food for yourself or for your family, and you see that those prices are up, and you look at the bill and you see how that's affecting your bottom line, that is a direct source of people feeling frustrated with the management of the economy.
Right.
And President Trump and this administration has been very vocal in talking about tariff policy, using it as a tool. And so it's very difficult for perhaps the administration now to, blame other factors when they've been so very themselves putting the hands on the levers, right? And so if you're the president and you're sensing that outrage, or you're, through polling, seeing that there is perhaps an upswell of people who are upset about that, and it's threatening what you want to do, then something's got to give.
So Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent previously said, this is according to a Washington Post article talking about these tariff rollbacks. He previously said that foreign exporters and U.S. retailers were bearing most of the tariff burden, leaving consumers feeling mostly unscathed, which I think consumers don't feel that way. But on Friday, well, actually on Wednesday last week, he said these tariff cuts would bring the prices down very quickly. I think which acknowledges, right, that the tariffs actually did increase prices.
Right, yeah. It's an interesting messaging situation. I'm curious. I'll be honest. I'm not an economist. I am not the smartest person when it comes to tariffs. But there was a headline that I saw over the weekend, something about tariffs on products from like Switzerland.
What
was this about, Holly?
So one of the things that we have talked with economists on the show is that the tariffs are uncertain, and they introduce economic uncertainty because so often it has been, we're going to do 150%. Oh, we're going to do 25%. Oh, now we're back to 100%. It was 39% tariffs applied to Switzerland. President Trump has dropped it to 15%.
Okay.
But Switzerland also pledged a $200 billion investment in the United States. So there are some people that are skeptical, right, that it was just a, Switzerland and the Trump administration getting together and working things out. A week ago, a top Swiss business figure visited the White House with luxury gifts, including a gold-plated desk clock from the CEO of Rolex and an engraved gold bar. So maybe it's just coincidental.
Timing is everything.
Timing is everything.
Well, that's very interesting, right? Because negotiation, definitely, if you're, involved in international trade and you're the United States, you carry that big stick, right? And you could certainly threaten something in the hopes of getting concession from another country, and maybe that's what happened. But boy, that does raise questions.
It's interesting, right? And we've had a number of discussions about tariff policy, but one of the things that Switzerland was being hit by was chocolate, right? Tariffs, because they produce a lot of chocolate. There's a lot of manufacturers there that are like, oh my gosh, right?
Well, it's funny you say that, because I was sitting over here thinking, okay, well, yeah, what are our imports from Switzerland? And it's like, well, you just mentioned watches. I haven't bought, aside from an Apple Watch, I haven't bought a Swiss watch recently, but chocolate?
Pharmaceuticals too, actually. So there's a number of pharmaceuticals, and that is one industry that President Trump has targeted specifically.
That's right.
Hoping to shift manufacturing back to the United States. But this $200 billion investment in the U.S. market includes a $50 billion commitment from a drug maker, Roche, and a $23 billion commitment from Novartis. And those are both companies that some of them make the weight loss drugs that are really popular, diabetes drugs. I mean, some of them, they're like the U.S. consumers would really feel it. But speaking of chocolate, I went to the store to buy bags of chocolate treats to put out for the holiday season, and I honestly was shocked at how much this bag of Hershey's Kisses was.
Oh no!
It was like $15. Oh, my word. It was not the tiny bag, but it was like at least double what I used to pay.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is where I can feel it, right? Is just buying treats. Chocolate treats.
So I'm not a big one on the Kisses. I will tell you where I see it. peanut M&Ms. That's my vice.
Yes.
And those have gone up so much.
They have.
It's crazy.
They have. So speaking of tariffs, we're going to have Deseret News opinion editor Jay Evenson join us in the next segment. He's going to talk to us about tariff rebates. And that is the promise that, people are going to get $2,000 back because we made so much money. He says it's directly tied to inflation. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Lehigh city leaders plan to update reporters today about a massive fire at an apartment complex under construction. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms joined the investigation last week. That update is expected around 11 o'clock this morning. KSL has a reporter there, and we'll bring you the latest on Utah's noon news. Our top story this hour from ABC News. Tense moments in Charlotte, North Carolina over the weekend as federal immigration agents start an enforcement operation they're calling Operation Charlotte's Web.
Agents detained at least 80 people over the weekend. There were protests, but no major clashes between the agents and the community. DHS hasn't said exactly how long this operation will last, but sources tell ABC News that it could be short, and New Orleans, another Democrat-led city, may be next.
That's ABC's Faith Abube in Charlotte. Much of the recent attention on Charlotte goes back to the murder of a Ukrainian refugee on public transit in the city in September. The person accused of stabbing the refugee was an American citizen, but the Trump administration has used that case to illustrate concerns about crime nationwide in cities led by Democrats. The FAA has lifted all restrictions on commercial flights. That means there are no more mandatory cancellations. The agency expects Thanksgiving travel to be back to normal. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 11 points, but 47,159. Coming up, the rain's gone for the day, but it could be back by Wednesday. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
Just how good is Pure Talk's current deal for unlimited wireless? Well, you might say it's the deal of your lifetime. Because right now, for just $29.95 a month, Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for life. Not your phone's life, your life. This is Pure Talk's top-tier plan. It comes with a crazy fast 5G network along with a 30-gig hotspot. And at just $29.95 a month, there has never been a better opportunity to lock in a ridiculously low rate for as long as you live. And save thousands and thousands of dollars along the way. This plan is normally $65 a month, but if you switch today, you will save over 50% every single month for the rest of your life. See what I mean? It really is the deal of your lifetime. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. Offer ends 12/7. Some restrictions apply. Details at puretalk.com.
Woke radical liberals are screwing up this country, but Congressman Blake Moore is fighting back. He backed one big, beautiful tax cut for working families, ending Social Security taxes for nearly all seniors, and taxes on tips and overtime gone. Call Congressman Blake Moore at 202-225-0453 and thank him for backing working family tax cuts and putting America first. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle.
May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. And here's Cormac Bone.
We are still seeing emergency vehicles closing off the scene of a crash from this morning in Layton on Hillfield Road, just after Gordon Avenue. They got that U-turn lane closed by the southeast entrance to Layton Hills Mall. Otherwise, roadways are looking real healthy all across the Wasatch Front. I-15 is looking good, no delays both north and southbound from Ogden to Provo, and I-215 is traveling at speed no matter where you drive across the Salt Lake Valley. Culligan Water, healthy, pure, clean drinking water, cleaner laundry, and even softer skin and hair. Get rid of the hard, funky tasting water. Call Culligan today, 801-509-9602. Culligan Water, you love. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we got a 56 high today with partly cloudy skies. Tomorrow about the same, 57 degrees. And then late Tuesday night, the rain showers start to move in. We could have rain, a 40% chance of it by Wednesday, and lows or highs only at 51, 48, 47 as we go through the week. Right now it's 50 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
It's Holly Richardson and Dave Colley today, but it just now occurred to me that I should have asked for a little clip of "We're in the Money" because we've been talking about tariffs and we're talking about tariff rebates in this segment, and how this idea of the government is just going to send people a check. Well, is this a good idea, or can it lead to further harm? So luckily we have an expert with us. That's Deseret News opinion editor Jay Evenson. Hi, Jay.
Hi, glad to be here. Thank you.
Will you just start from the very beginning and tell us what is a tariff rebate?
Well, the president posted on X that since he imposed tariffs, that we've been bringing in trillions and trillions of dollars into the Treasury. Actually, there's no economist that will tell you that. The estimates I'm getting from some other sources are maybe as much as $300 billion, which is a third of $1 trillion. So he has announced that he wants to rebate Americans, every American except for the very wealthy ones, $2,000 each. Now, he hasn't defined the really wealthy, but there are other experts out there who are looking at it and saying, if that means anybody earning less than $100,000 a year is going to cost about $300 billion, which would take up all the money that we're getting from tariffs. Because the president's also promised that after he's given the tariffs, he will use the rest of the money to reduce the national debt. There's not going to be any money left over. So there's a lot of unanswered questions. He keeps talking about it and keeps saying that he's going to do it. I think a lot of Americans are thinking, well, is he going to do it before Christmas? That would be kind of nice. But it's not necessarily a good thing for the economy if he does it.
I'm struck by this idea that a tariff rebate in the form of a check seems like extra steps from what you're describing to maybe just rolling back the tariff?
Well, now you're starting to sound like an economist.
Oh, okay. Help me understand that.
Well, and you're making a very good point. The problem is that you'll have the same or maybe even fewer goods and services to be chased by more money being put into the economy. We had this problem about 3 or 4 years ago with inflation in this country, and there were a lot of smart economists, including there was a study out of MIT that looked at that and said the main culprit, the main reason that we're having all this inflation is because we gave the stimulus checks to Americans for the COVID. Now, you can argue that that was necessary to do. We were all hurting, and there were people who were temporarily out of work because of the COVID pandemic. But putting more money into the economy and not increasing the number of goods and services will naturally lead to inflation. So the smart thing to do, as you just mentioned, would be to reduce the tariffs, which would then stimulate the economy and increase goods and services and also lower prices and give Americans in effect something like $2,000 more to spend. But that would be more organically, and it would not lead to inflation.
Yeah, there's maybe a little bit of a lag time with that kind of a shift versus, hey, look what I just got in the mail. It's $2,000.
Christmas.
Politicians don't like lag time,
Right.
Yeah.
especially when you're heading into an election year.
So you have in your article in the Deseret News something about the Tax Foundation talking about tariffs not being an efficient way to raise revenue. Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, well, what they're saying is because the more the tariffs increase, then the fewer imports that we bring in. Americans are the ones paying for the tariffs. Now, you can argue that there are foreign suppliers who will try to do everything they can to reduce their costs so that they can sell their products at a lower price. But if say you own a toy shop and you're importing toys for Christmas, you have to go down and receive that shipment at some point, and then you pay that tariff before you obtain the goods. Then you have to decide how much of this can I reduce costs and how much is my margin so I can reduce costs and still afford to stay in business. But ultimately, you're going to increase prices for the consumer. So in the end, you're probably going to be ordering less next time from that importer as long as the tariffs are high. So it actually ends up, you end up with fewer revenues from tariffs because the number of imports goes down over time.
So how, just can you do a little bit of a deeper dive in how inflation and tariffs go together?
Well, it has to do with just how much money is rolling around in the economy. If you give everybody an extra $2,000, you say you pump another $300 billion or more into the economy, and you still have the same economic output or the same amount of goods or services, or even less because of increase in tariffs, you're going to increase the amount of money that's chasing those goods and services, and so there's naturally going to be an increase in price for those.
That makes sense to me in a way that is maybe not good, but I know that, for example, there have been times where SNAP, because we've talked about that a lot, that their benefits have increased to cover infant formula, and immediately the formula companies hike their prices to take up that whole difference.
Yeah, I mean, everything's interrelated, right? Like that's the point with the economy. You can't change one variable without it affecting everything else down the line.
Right.
Yeah, and the MIT study of a couple of years ago looked at a number of factors, supply chains and all kinds of things, and they said the largest factor leading to that inflation, which hit 9.1% in June of 21, was the stimulus check. But there were other factors as well. The next factor was somewhere around, the stimulus factor was about 47% of the reason that we had inflation. There were other factors, lesser factors, that figured into that as well.
So let me ask you this question. If this is an idea that's been floated by President Trump, I think he also floated sending Americans checks from all the Doge shavings that we got, which we haven't seen.
Where is my Doge check?
I know.
Yeah,
is this just something that is... Do you think he's doing this for political reasons to keep people happy, even though the checks might never come?
Well,
you can speculate.
First of all, well, yeah, the president doing something for political reasons. Yeah, I think that's plausible. But you also have to remember one very important thing here is that he can't do this without the support of Congress. Congress holds the purse strings. And when it came to the stimulus checks for COVID, it was Congress that authorized those. And there are a lot of Republicans that are skeptical of this plan and how much money tariffs is bringing in. I think it's going to be a hard sell.
And there's still a case pending in front of the U.S. Supreme Court about whether he actually does, in fact, have the authority to impose tariffs.
And if you listen to arguments in front of the Supreme Court, there were a lot of very skeptical questions being posed by conservative members of the court. Let's remember, I mean, tariffs was always kind of a Democratic thing before. Republicans were the free traders. The Democrats wanted protectionism. So this is something kind of new for conservatives and Republicans. Mm-hmm. But if the court does say you do not have the authority on your own to impose these tariffs, then he may have to reimburse the tariffs that he's already charged. And I don't know exactly how that works.
I think he's implied that money has been spent.
Yeah, it's probably not coming back.
So thanks, Jay. We've been speaking with Jay Evenson, opinion editor of the Deseret News. But we're going to stay on tariffs and grocery prices because we have to talk about Thanksgiving. Did you know turkey prices are up 40% this year?
Well, I think anybody who's gone turkey shopping knows
right?
that.
We want to have texts from you, 57500. Tell us what you're seeing as you start to shop for Thanksgiving. We'll be right back.
Most folks wait till January to say, I should probably fix this or do something about how you feel. But you know what? You're going to go into 2026 with the resolution already done because soda helps you lose the weight now, so your New Year's all celebration.
You and I both started our soda weight loss journey in October and November, right? And I loved going into holiday parties knowing I had a plan. It wasn't just, I'm going to try not to. It was, this is my plan because I've spoken with a nutritionist and I get a jump start on that, first of the year goal by beginning soda weight loss right now.
Yeah, there's no guesswork. You're supported every step of the way and you need that. And right now, there's an amazing offer from Soda for you and your partner. You join and your partner joins for free.
So why gain 20 pounds just to lose it in the new year? Go to Soda Weight Loss today and begin today.
That's sodaweightloss.com, SOTA weightloss.com, because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
This week's movie show brought to you by My Hearing Centers. Schedule a hearing evaluation to be entered to win a set of premium hearing aids by tuning in Friday from 10 to 1.
It all started with a commitment to comfort. Gillette Heating and Air is proud to be Utah County's go-to team for expert HVAC and plumbing solutions. Need a repair, upgrade, or seasonal tune-up? Don't let cost hold you back. With 0% financing available, it's easy to get the work done now and pay later. Plus, save $100 on any repair over $500 and keep your system running strong with a professional tune-up before the heat hits. Visit GilletteHVAC.com or call 385-GET-COOL to book today. Homegrown service pros, financing made simple, comfort made easy.
Carrier, turn to the experts. A Carrier factory authorized dealer.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install a Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cypress Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypresscu.com today.
Matthew.
Huh? Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I just need you to listen to me.
I know that a lot of times, Mom, it might not seem like I'm listening to you, but I am. I hear you. And what you say really does matter to me.
I mean, let's be honest. No kid likes rules, but I get why we have them. I hear you, and I know it's because you care.
All the talks we've had over the years, including what you've told me about not using alcohol and other drugs, they stick with me. And believe it or not, they really do make a difference, especially at times that matter most.
Hey, want a drink?
No thanks, I'm good. So thank you, Dad, for talking and preparing me for what's ahead.
Thanks, Mom, for never giving up and always being my biggest fan.
Thank you for letting me know what you expect, so I can try to meet your expectations.
Thank you for talking.
For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Inside Sources.
So we've been talking about tariffs and groceries and other prices. And of course, next week is Thanksgiving, Dave.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be hiking in Arches, I guess.
Right.
I don't
That's
know.
right. Yeah.
Dehydrated turkey. I don't know.
I've done
but,
lots of those.
But look, this is an article from NPR, and this is looking nationally. The Department of Agriculture said that wholesale turkey prices have jumped 40% from a year ago. But we asked our texters to let us know if they're seeing these prices at the grocery store, the increase. And we have a bunch of texters that are saying prices are not too bad for turkey. One says, I was shocked. I got a Butterball turkey for 94 cents a pound. I got a 24-pound turkey for less than I can get a small roast, right?
Okay.
And it wasn't a super sale. Turkeys are 99 cents a pound at Costco, which is what they've been for the last 4 or 5 years. Another texter said they paid $1.99 a pound for our turkey at Smith's. Another one, again, Costco Butterball turkeys are 99 cents a pound. I actually just bought 2 turkeys. I got them from Macy's grocery store, and they were 65 cents a pound.
Ooh, so you outdid most of our texters.
You have to sign up, and I've been a member of their, digital thing, whatever it is, at Macy's grocery store. But yeah, it's interesting, right? It's interesting. So people who are looking at beef, we know beef prices are a lot higher.
Right.
This year. So.
Well, we've been talking about tariffs, and that obviously has a big impact on prices of food. The other thing that's part of this, as I understand, is there's an avian flu problem. And, for folks that live on the Wasatch Front that may not realize, Utah actually has a pretty healthy turkey farming economy, mostly centered in Sanpete County.
That's
so
right.
Down, south of Provo area. And I was just looking, the Utah Department of Agriculture and Food on their website, because they do monitoring to see, what the impacts of this avian influenza looks like. They show just since September, the end of September, October, 4 different commercial turkey facilities that have been impacted by this, where they've had to quarantine animals. But you're in the neighborhood of 60, almost 70, 80,000 animals. So that's just a supply problem, right? Those are turkeys that aren't going to be part
served.
of I'm trying to think of a nice way to say this, but they're not.
They will not be served at dinner.
Not harvested, right? For this season. So that's part of it. But the tariffs. It's not just turkey.
Right. It's not just turkey. We have seen a slight decrease in egg prices. Yay. But
for those omelets that we traditionally have at Thanksgiving.
But I do a lot of cooking. One of the things that I kept track of once, and I don't remember the amounts, but I kept track one year. I think I cooked Thanksgiving dinner for 35 people, of how many sticks of butter, how many cups of cream, how many ounces of cream cheese I used. It was a ridiculously high number, right? Yeah. So we add all those things in, and I use a ton of eggs also. So we do have another texter who says Thanksgiving includes travel, and part of the grocery shopping for travel is travel-sized toiletries. They say the price of travel toiletries has doubled and even tripled in some cases, and they felt like they used to be able to purchase toiletries when they arrived so that it didn't leak in the luggage and they didn't have to fill up tiny bottles to keep TSA happy. And said they just recently went to visit family in Texas and noticed when we got there, the price of travel toiletries had tripled. We thought it was just Texas. We checked when we got home. The result was the same. So, sometimes there's prices where it's like, okay, look, you can say this is the price of a Thanksgiving meal. But you're right. They're right. It's travel costs, or it's paper plates if you're going to do that, or it's, your flower decorations that you're going to put on the table, those types of things. Maybe there's going to be less of that this year.
And I think there was an article that was making the rounds late last week or perhaps over the weekend that was talking about comparing, how much does a Thanksgiving meal cost now versus in years past.
Right.
And even that got, kind of dissected and torn apart because it was not apples
It was
to
not
apples,
apples to apples.
turkeys to turkeys.
Or
in
turkeys
this
to turkeys. So look, this is this came out from Walmart, and Walmart had a statement that said, "Hey, this year's turkey dinner is less than last year's," but it was not apples to apples because what they did was they said everything in this basket, it costs less than $40. It can feed 10 people, right? So that's okay. It's about $4 a person. That's not bad. And last year, the price was $56 and it would feed 8 people. So they're saying, okay, well, look, it's a decrease. But here's what you're missing. So last year's basket had 29 items in it. Guess how many this year's had?
I'm going to guess it's fewer.
It's 15.
Oh, my
It's
word.
quite a bit fewer.
That's like almost
They
half,
left out dessert.
What?
Most of the desserts.
No.
I think they included one small pumpkin pie, but they left out pecan pie. They left out the mini marshmallows. They left out a muffin mix. They left out sweet potatoes. They left out yellow onions. They left out the celery. I mean,
That's
it's not exactly the same.
That's not exactly the same.
So,
that's a lot different.
If you need to trim down your Thanksgiving meal, you can do it. It just you have fewer options. And it's one of the things I've always thought was weird about Thanksgiving. You have a ridiculous number of side dishes. Like no other meal the entire year do I make so many side dishes for my family.
Well, I mean, and we all love whatever your family does or you individually do for Thanksgiving dinner. Part of it is just being together with people that you care about and celebrating, everybody pitching in, bringing something, right?
Sure.
And so you can spread that expense out over more people. Maybe it's you ask more of your guests to contribute something.
You mean my kids?
Yeah, sure. But at the end of the day, like, I think what this boils down to is like we're all having to just kind of grapple with the fact that costs are up.
Yeah.
And, maybe that means that the name brand that you've used every year because it's it's in the
tried
recipe,
and true.
It's the tradition.
Yeah.
You might have to try for the generic brand this year,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And is that the end of the world? No. But the whole idea behind kind of the big Thanksgiving dinner is, of course, that we celebrate just the
family togetherness.
Well, the family togetherness, but also the bounty.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And maybe the
for
bounty
sure.
is not quite as bounteous this time.
So we have another texter that says potatoes are outrageously priced right now. And soda can be, soda's super expensive. That is not a lie. If you've gone and purchased like the 12-pack of soda cans, it used to be like $5-6-ish for a 12-pack. Now it's $10 for 12, but you can look for deals where you buy 2, get 3, you get the third for free. But yeah, you're right. Soda prices are up, and soda is not that healthy.
Well, and I'm also not breaking any world-blowing news here, but portions are smaller.
Yeah.
I go by,
I know.
I don't drink a lot of soda, but when I do, it used to get the 12-ounce can. Now it's down to a little 8-ounce. I think we're going toward a 4-ounce can at some point in our future.
The minis.
Yeah.
Look, one of the other things, too, that's interesting is I saw this morning on the news, I think it's something like 8.2 million air travelers this year, some record-setting number of people who are taking flights for Thanksgiving. So the shutdown is done.
Right.
Thank goodness. Air travel is back to normal, which is still going to be super, super heavy over the Thanksgiving weekend. But a lot of people are going to be traveling this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean, next weekend.
Yeah. And I mean, I think in some ways, the risk of having a conversation like this, Holly, is it starts sounding like doomerism, right? Like everything costs more. Like, why are we even doing the Thanksgiving?
We love our family.
For a lot of us, the focus of what this is all about, getting together with people, like we are still going to travel. We're all still going to, try to get together. Yeah. And I think, the price is going up. We grit our teeth. It's not the first time in this country's history that we've dealt with inflation and dealt with high prices. It's just going to be one of those years.
Well, look, I don't live in Hawaii, but I was there less than a year ago, and I was looking in Walmart at the grocery store for a gallon of milk was like $7.50. Right, so super grateful to be in Utah where it's 3-something.
Right.
So anyway, you're right. I don't want to be doom and gloom, but sometimes it means that you change a little bit about what you do. So
just don't take away my pumpkin pie. Yeah, I mean, you said they didn't put pumpkin pie on that Walmart list.
No, I think it was a small
one.
pumpkin pie, but they didn't put pecan pie.
Yeah, no, come on.
But look, you have to go get your pumpkin pie at Costco. It's $5.99.
I will say
it's gigantic.
Yes, as somebody, I'm not a great cook. I have made a few pumpkin pies in my time, and it is hard to beat.
Yeah,
hard to beat the Costco pumpkin.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, look. We're going to pivot to a fire. Just over a week ago, a massive fire destroyed an apartment complex in Lehigh. I could smell it when I drove down I-15. It was really interesting. We'll have the latest on that when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. Utah's judiciary says the judge who ruled on a state's new congressional maps have been receiving threats. Last week, Judge Diana Gibson ruled to adopt a new congressional map introduced by the plaintiffs in the case, instead of the map proposed by Utah's legislature. The judiciary says judges have a constitutional duty to rule on the facts regardless of internal pressure. And if people have a problem with that, they should use the lawful course of action through appeals. Saratoga Springs police are now working with the FBI to solve a double murder that happened earlier this year. Jessica Lyman and her 8-year-old son, Eli Painter, were murdered in their home back in March. An investigation has been ongoing ever since.
Since then, our police have been gathering various sources of evidence, sending them to labs to get analyzed, and that trail has led us to this location.
Saratoga Springs City spokesperson Annalise Harrison says the FBI is helping police search the Jordan River for any possible evidence. To this day, no suspect has been named in the case, but Harrison says they've been working with the district attorney's office. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 169 points. The S&P is down 24 points. And coming up, more rain tonight. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
We are tuning in right now to a news conference about that Lehigh fire that was earlier last week.
Soon, I will tell you that at this time, it's an undetermined fire is how we are going to classify it. We know the point of origin, meaning we know where the fire started, but we don't know how the fire started. Now, our investigation isn't completely done. We still have some leads that we need to follow up on. We're trying to get some camera footage and some things like that. This was obviously a devastating fire for the community and for the company up there. So yeah, our work will continue, but at this time we really just don't know exactly what caused it.
We're listening to Lehigh Fire Chief Jeremy Kraft.
Do you know where it started in the building?
Yes.
Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, we got some early video camera footage from the homes on the east side that showed where the smoke started, which really led us to look in those areas. Once we got in those areas of the building, we were able to go back and look through some previous photos that showed fire load, and that's what we're looking for, right? And so we can pretty much determine that that's where it was based on footage from, different angles of cameras from the community.
At what point do you determine that the fire is too large for just your department to take on?
Quite honestly, for Lehigh Fire Department, we're a smaller department, but anything bigger than a house, generally speaking, we'll ask for some help from the state fire marshal or even just neighboring departments, have their fire marshals come in. It's really manpower intensive to dig through all the ashes and move them and look. So generally about then. Quite honestly, I rely on my fire marshal to say, hey, I need some help.
Got it. And when you say manpower intensive, do you happen to know how many people you had working to try to figure out what happened here?
Yeah, so I think the ATF National Response brought about 25 people. We also had about 5 people from the Utah ATF. And then we had some police investigators helping us, 3 or 4, my fire marshal's division, so 2. So what is that, 30 to 35 people total working on this fire for the last week?
Chief, this is, you said a big, there were a lot of explosions, there was a large fire, it seemed to really blow up. Is there any reason to believe there was arson or there was any intentional nature behind the start of this?
That's a tricky question. I mean, we haven't ruled arson out, but we haven't proven arson. Inversely, we haven't ruled out that there was a temporary electrical box or something in there that went bad. We haven't ruled that out, and we haven't proven that either. So both options are still on the table. Some of those things are just going to need to be looked at a lot more closely.
What still needs to be done to determine or to get closer to a determination?
We have some footage that we still need to look at, and then, so they're called the spider box. They're used a lot in construction. There were some spider boxes in there. We were able to find them. They're going to need to be looked at closer by electrical engineers and those types of things, along with the wires that connected them. They're on a construction site, so they could have been beat up and causing heat or something like that. And quite honestly, that's way above my knowledge of fire investigation. There are some experts that will look at that and help us figure out if they believe that may or may not have been a cause.
Chief, you said there was an arson dog. Did the arson dog key on anything?
The arson dog did not key on anything. So, and mostly what they would look for would be a flammable liquid.
Aside from the size of this fire and obviously that it was a large construction project, was there anything that made it difficult for the crews to get in there and try to do this work?
Well, water's always a concern, right? Because you can only flow so much water through the pipes underground, and this was a large fire. But getting close to it, because it was super hot, made it challenging. But really just the water. We had great access. I mean, it wasn't in a heavy populated area. It's standing out there by itself. But I just keep going back to water, right? For us, it's what we call the battle of the BTUs, right? The fire's putting out BTUs, and we got to put enough water on it to absorb those and some to knock the fire down. And we were just having a challenge getting that much water on it.
And what does BTU mean?
British Thermal Unit. So it's a measure of heat. Sorry.
Chief, with today's event, what
Yes.
were you hoping to convey to the public, or where we stand with this investigation?
Just first of all, I wanted to thank the State Fire Marshal's Office, the ATF, and Lehigh PD, everybody that helped us with this. For the public, I just know that we're working on it, even though it's at an undetermined cause right now. It doesn't mean that we're done. We obviously want to figure these types of things out. So we're going to continue working. And if you have video footage or camera footage, or you know of anything, please reach out to Lehigh PD and get us that information.
Do you know if the developers were using correct materials that were, would qualify as proper fire retardant, or if potentially there was something wrong with the materials of the build?
So I don't know of anything that was wrong with the material. One of the problems is when you talk about the proper materials for fire break, that's what was going in next to building 1 where we believe the fire was starting. So it had just received a 4-way inspection, meaning it had been framed, there was electrical, heating and plumbing done, right? So then the sheetrock goes on, and the sheetrock and the doors and stuff like that are really what prevent the spread of fire, and none of that had been put in yet.
So we have been listening to a press conference from the Lehigh Fire Chief down about that 300-unit building that was under construction.
That was wild. The videos
wild.
A week ago of that fire. Yeah, Fire Chief Jeremy Kraft there telling us that they're still looking into the cause of that fire. It is still undetermined. They think they know where it started in the building based on some photos and videos, but they're asking the public for help in any additional video that they could provide. Have not ruled out arson, but they're not also leaning toward arson. So it sounds like a lot of questions still remain on that.
Yeah, still remain. So I know that one of the things that they said is that there weren't any heat sources yet installed in the building. And we just heard him say there weren't any doors either that can keep the fire from spreading. And my brother and his wife live in Traverse Mountain. And so they were not super close, but they were able to see just the flames were gigantic, right? It wasn't just smoke. It was just these huge red flames.
Yeah, and as we cut away there, I think he was making the point that, at the stage of construction they were in, you've got all the timber up, but none of the fire protection yet.
That's
It's like
right.
the
No
worst
drywall. Yeah.
possible time to have some kind of ignition. So now the question just remains, what was that ignition?
Yeah, that's right. And my son is an electrician. He's an apprentice electrician. But he said the very first thought that always goes through his mind is like, did we do something wrong? He didn't work on that building, right? But he wanted to know, is this something electrical? And he said they're still investigating, but they just don't know at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the great thing there is that we are just hearing from the fire department down there that, they were able to get on that fire. He called it the battle of the BTUs, right?
Yep,
so
right.
trying to get enough water, they were able to call in enough support from other agencies to help get that fire out. Huge monetary loss.
Yeah.
So the stakes there of this investigation are pretty high, which speaks to why they would want to know whether or not there was any, intent behind it, or if it was just simply an accident.
Right. And 300 units? I mean, just the time and money, but to replace that, right? So that's, again, in a state where we have a tremendous housing shortage, we just lost 300 units.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a huge setback.
Yeah.
And if you're the developer of that, hopefully you were insured. You would hope.
Right.
But at the same time, like, they need to do the job of going in, figuring out what that cause was. A lot of times I've covered a lot of fires in years as a news reporter in Utah, and even with wildland fire, sometimes it's amazing to me what they can figure out.
I know.
There's a science there that is fascinating to me, and what I'm hearing from this press conference, you heard the question in that press conference, well, what are you hoping to get from the public today?
Yeah.
It sounds to me like they have an idea, they have a sense of where this fire started, how it propagated through the building, but there's just some uncertainty that they think maybe somebody out there has a piece to the puzzle that will help them out.
Yeah, I heard them talk about arson dogs, which maybe I have heard about before, but I wasn't sure, so I looked it up. But these are dogs that can smell flammable liquids, so they're trained to sniff out accelerants like gasoline or lighter fluid or diesel fuel. And he said specifically that the arson dogs did not key in on anything.
Yeah, which I appreciate, because a lot of times investigators don't want to share those kinds of details at this stage of an investigation. There's something that, we in the news business often refer to as cop talk. Firefighters do it too. Well, we showed up and the building was fully engulfed. It was like, what does that mean? Talk to me like a human.
Right.
And for him to say, no, the arson dogs came in. They didn't have a hit on any kind of flammable liquid odor. Okay, that's interesting information, right?
Yeah.
If that would, as a layperson, I would interpret that to say, if it was arson, which we're not saying it was, but if it was, that it was not just somebody splashing gasoline around in the place.
Right. What's interesting to me, and you had mentioned this, how much you actually can find. So sometimes I think there's this idea that if you have a fire, all evidence is destroyed, and that's not actually true.
Right.
So they already were able to pinpoint where it started. They don't know how yet, but the dogs didn't sniff out any accelerant, right? It's like, that's a lot of information already.
It's detective work. Absolutely it is, right? I mean, these are fire detectives. They're going into the remains of this structure, and they're looking for those clues. You heard him talk about, we had video coverage from, I think he said, the east side looking this direction. We saw where the smoke started. Then we were able to use that to identify some other camera angles that got us to, fire glow. So they're working through time, they're working through location, trying to hone in on that question of cause.
Yeah, it's super interesting, and it's a process that will continue, of course, as time moves along. But it's, again, interesting to me that it was on a weekend. Nobody was really around.
Yep.
It was really big, really fast, and really hot, burned really hot.
I mean, some of that video that I recall as it was breaking was just jaw-dropping.
Yeah.
You see some of those big fires. I mean, it seems like if I go back and, but just my experience as a news reporter, the only thing that really comes close was there was a paper mill in Salt Lake. I think it was called Smurfett Stone, that burned years ago. And that was at night in Salt Lake, and it burned all night long. And the video that came out of that was just absolutely stunning.
I think I remember that, actually.
It was a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, these big fires, they draw attention.
Yeah.
And to your point, like it being on a weekend, we're just grateful that there weren't, a ton of construction people in there.
Right, exactly.
Because you could have had a very, very different outcome if you had people trapped inside that building.
Yeah, that's right.
As it was burning.
That was in Lehi. this is a slightly different topic, but related. Just this weekend, a honey manufacturing building in American Fork caught fire, right? And I think the whole thing has been destroyed. This is firefighters got stung by the bees.
Ooh.
Trying to put out this fire. It was 4 a.m. yesterday morning.
Now, that is a hazard we don't often think about in the world of firefighting, right?
Bee stings.
Wow. Yeah, no, it's so grateful. I mean, we have some amazing, I think, agencies in the state of Utah, both, commercial and wildland fire.
Yeah. We had the commercial fire in downtown Salt Lake, too. It was just earlier this year. Right? Remember? So it burned down, I think, Main Street in Salt Lake.
Yeah, you're right.
So, so we do have very trained, thank goodness. And I don't know if you know this, but we had a house fire, and we had the firefighters there. We were super grateful for them because they had to figure out where the fire had started that my son set.
I did not. Wait.
He did. He was 9. He wanted to see if he could make clothes burn, and he was successful.
Well, he learned a lesson.
Yes. So when we come back, this is an interesting lesson. The American Family Survey was just released on Friday. One of the findings that they found was a growing indifference to marriage. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Northbound on I-15, a crash just as you're passing 4500 south. It only has a right lane blocked to traffic now, but when the crash first occurred, we had about 3 different lanes blocked, and that is what's causing your slow and go and stop and go delays through Murray back to the South Interchange. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers. GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah. GoPave Utah. GoPaveUtah.com. Ricky Neese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The United States is facing a mental health crisis, but there is hope. At Huntsman Mental Health Foundation, they're transforming how mental health is treated and researched, bringing compassion, innovation, and access to those who need it most. Your donation helps fund life-saving care and cutting-edge research that leads to better treatment for everyone. It's already making a difference. Huntsman Mental Health Foundation has built Utah's first ever mental health crisis care center, open 24/7 to anyone, regardless of ability to pay. They've also recently launched a youth crisis care program at Huntsman Mental Health Institute, giving kids and teens immediate support. And Huntsman Mental Health Foundation is expanding services like therapy, medication management, geriatric care, and treatment-resistant support. Join us. Be part of the change. Donate today at hmhf.org. That's hmhf.org.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Makita's built for the pros who show up early, who don't do shortcuts, only precise cuts. With tools built to last, job after job, year after year. Performance that pays off, because when the job calls for the best, you answer. And when you need the best, you call on Makita. Built to be the best. Available at the Home Depot.
250 years ago, a promise was made to connect families and friends near and far. And during the holidays, that promise is more important than ever. That's why USPS is building a better network to meet your needs, with timely deliveries, easy and affordable ways to ship, and everything you need to make your season full of holiday cheer. Our purpose is delivering your peace of mind. knowing your love will arrive, bringing joy to all. The United States Postal Service. Learn more at USPS.com/holidays.
Woke radical liberals are screwing up this country. But Congressman Blake Moore is fighting back. He backed one big, beautiful tax cut for working families, ending Social Security taxes for nearly all seniors, and taxes on tips and overtime gone. Call Congressman Blake Moore at 202-225-0453 and thank him for backing working family tax cuts and putting America first. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
The holiday season is shining bright at Junction Commons Park City. Join them for their second annual tree lighting on Thursday, November 20th, starting at 4 p.m. Bring your family, friends, and neighbors for an evening filled with holiday magic. Enjoy live, festive music, delicious food trucks, and the always popular Swig Soda truck, serving up your favorite drinks. Kids will love getting creative with holiday crafts, and everyone can soak in the sights, sounds, and the magic of the holiday season. As the evening winds down, gather around the highlight of the night when Outlets Park City flip the switch and light up their beautiful holiday tree as they officially kick off the holiday season. It's the perfect way to celebrate. Festive, free, and full of holiday cheer. Don't miss the magic Thursday, November 20th at 4 p.m. at Junction Commons, Park City's second annual tree lighting. Junction Commons, mountaintop holiday fun in Park City.
Do you currently use a CPAP machine to treat sleep apnea? Are you looking for a smaller, more comfortable solution? Consider a custom-fitted oral appliance from Sound Sleep Medical. In many cases, these appliances can be as effective as CPAP, and oral appliances are usually covered by insurance or Medicare. To make an appointment or to learn more, call Sound Sleep Medical at 801-285-9731. That's 801-285-9731, or visit soundsleepmedical.com.
Save $2,500 on a new furnace and air conditioner from Any Hour Services. For more information, call Any Hour Services or schedule a free estimate online at anyhourservices.com.
An expanded Inside Sources.
The American Family Survey was released on Friday, and on Friday we had Lois Collins join us to talk about the economic concerns that are really spiking with as far as it comes to raising children, right? And 71%, she told us, of Americans feel like raising children is actually unaffordable. Part of the survey also looked at marriage and attitudes towards marriage, and I thought it was interesting that more and more people are just like, meh, I can get married and not get married. It doesn't really matter to me. And so we have Ariel Harmer with us. She's with the Deseret News. She's on the editorial team, and she writes. Tell us about this story that you wrote.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. So it was really interesting talking to Dr. Jeremy Pope. He is one of the co-researchers on the project. And he was talking about how, to clarify, it's not that Americans are completely souring on the institution of marriage, and it's also not that Americans are completely tossing it out, but there is definitely a growing indifference and a lack of enthusiasm. So the questions that I was looking at specifically are asking people, do you think that society is better off? And it's looking like more and more people just don't really have an opinion whether or not society is better off when people are married.
I was reading down through the article this morning, and I was what I found fascinating was the gender shift, right, on this kind of idea. And if I'm recalling I won't get the statistics exactly right, but generally you have, it seems like a lot of women who are lukewarm toward marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was really interesting looking at all of the statistics that we got. It's an amazing survey. And I was looking at questions where there was the greatest disparity between men and women's answers. And so, one of the questions was just, do you think society is better off? And more women just didn't agree or disagree that society was better off with marriage. And I also looked at a question that asked about whether marriage was more important than a career. And more women are focusing on their careers now, whereas men are still focused a little more on marriage, according to the survey results. And another question that I thought was really interesting was, do you personally want to get married? And what I found was interesting there was that the question looked at different degrees. So there was definitely versus probably, not sure, and then definitely not or maybe not. And when you look at the definitely responses, you can see that far more men than women definitely want to get married, whereas women are more in the probably or not sure zone. So women are definitely losing enthusiasm at a greater rate than men.
It's so interesting. So I am looking at those numbers on specifically, do you personally hope to get married in the future? And 41% of men said definitely, but only 27% of women. And then on the probably, as you mentioned, 43% of women say they probably want to, and men said 28% of them probably. But they were, like you said, a lot stronger in the definitely want to get married. Did the survey authors, did they talk about why they see this trend?
Yeah, so I spoke with Dr. Pope, and he said he can't really, say definitively why, but he has a couple of hypotheses. And one of them is that in recent years, we've been seeing that women are outpacing men in a lot of areas of life, in home ownership, in the workforce, in college graduation, and men at the same time are struggling with the male loneliness epidemic, and men's mental health is a huge issue. And so you're seeing this disparity, and so Dr. Pope said it's very likely that a lot of women are saying, okay, well, what are guys going to bring to the table? Am I okay on my own, or do I really need to marry in order to see the success that I want in my life? And the answer for a lot of them personally is they don't think it's necessary.
There was a metaphor in your article as I was reading through that I found very interesting. I hadn't thought of it this way, but it was talking about, who's carrying the load, or is it co-equal in a marriage? And it was basically saying it's like a pair of scissors. You have to have two blades to cut. If you would expand a little bit more about this kind of idea of like how different parties, men versus women coming into a marriage are looking at that kind of division of labor and some of those kinds of aspects of this.
Yeah. And, we all probably know a couple where, we look at one person and we say, like, why are you with the other one? It looks like one person is totally carrying the load. And, Dr. Pope mentioned that, sure, that may be the case in some marriages, but what we're looking at is society in general, and we're saying that society in general benefits from marriage, that people are healthier, people report greater happiness, people report greater wealth. And so it's not looking specifically at individual outcomes. And that's, another issue that's probably contributing to that, is that American society has become increasingly individualized. And we don't want to look at, okay, well, what blade of the scissors is doing the cutting? We want to look at the outcome. And we want to look more at what people build together versus what they get out of it.
So Ariel, we're speaking with Ariel Harmer. She's on the editorial team at the Deseret News. And I'm looking, so this American Family Survey, it was the 11th annual one. It's done as a I think a joint project with BYU's Wheatley Institute and the Center for the Study of Elections and Democracy and the Deseret News. So one of the questions I have is how does this growing indifference to marriage as an institution, how does that fit with these larger family trends that we're starting to see?
Yeah, so that was something that Christopher Karpowitz mentioned as well, is that obviously Americans are growing increasingly concerned about economic troubles. We have, it's a greater burden on families. People are less likely to have more kids because of economic concerns. And so he said it's really telling that people aren't noticing that marriage is going to help them with that when you get married, the research shows that you do have greater economic outcomes. And so it is important to remember that there is a connection there.
You profiled a couple in your article to kind of highlight the issue. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about them and kind of their experience.
Yeah, it was really fun talking to them. I wanted to find a couple who had gotten married recently because, again, we're looking at this trend of people who are less interested in marriage. And so I wanted to interview somebody who had recently, a couple who had recently made the decision to get married. And talking to them was so fun. They clearly were not just in love, but had really built a partnership, which is what, again, really benefits society, is when people work together. And they were just such a cute couple. And I think what I really appreciated from them was their thoughts on getting married young. They're both in their early 20s. And they said that, you know, with a lot of people, you kind of think about, like, okay, you get your life ready and then you get married. But for them, marriage is more foundational. They're going to build things together. And I think that goes back to what Dr. Pope was saying about marriage being a collaboration and being a cornerstone of society rather than a capstone of your life.
Thank you so much. Super interesting. And we'll continue to talk about this because I'm just fascinated.
Yeah, I was taking, well, as a man who is in his 40s and not married, it is one of those things where I'm like, I'm not the 20-year-old who just got married, right? And you can see some of those arguments for and against. It was really fascinating.
Yeah, interesting. All right, how much food can 250 semis hold?
I'm not good at story math.
It's
problems,
a lot.
Holly.
That's my answer. It's a lot. Look, when we come back, we're going to talk with Amy Kobabe about this collaboration between the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and the America 250 and how the church is sending out 250 semis full of food. We'll talk about that.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott, KSL's top story this hour. And it is developing news. Lehigh fire officials say they're still looking into the cause of a massive fire that destroyed an under-construction apartment building near Point of the Mountain last week. We heard an update from Fire Chief Jeremy Kraft just minutes ago, who says they have not ruled out arson, but they haven't proved it either.
The arson dog did not key in on anything, so and mostly what they would look for would be a flammable liquid.
Kraft says they know the fire started on the east side of the building, but are asking for any information or video residents may have to help them in their investigation. Our top national story this hour, a federal judge has accused the Justice Department of possible misconduct in its case against former FBI Director James Comey. The judge claims that Lindsay Halligan, the prosecutor who brought these charges against Comey, misstated the law before the grand jury. Prosecutors have been ordered to give their grand jury notes to Comey's lawyers, notes that are normally not revealed before trial. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 247 points. The S&P is down 33 points. And coming up, more rain this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/radio to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/radio. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/radio. See representative for warranty details.
Just how good is Pure Talk's current deal for unlimited wireless? Well, you might say it's the deal of your lifetime. Because right now, for just $29.95 a month, Pure Talk is offering unlimited talk, text, and data for life. Not your phone's life, your life. This is Pure Talk's top-tier plan. It comes with a crazy fast 5G network along with a 30-gig hotspot. And at just $29.95 a month, there has never been a better opportunity to lock in a ridiculously low rate for as long as you live. And save thousands and thousands of dollars along the way. This plan is normally $65 a month, but if you switch today, you will save over 50% every single month for the rest of your life. See what I mean? It really is the deal of your lifetime. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe. Offer ends 12/7. Some restrictions apply. Details at puretalk.com.
It all started with a commitment to comfort. Gillette Heating and Air is proud to be Utah County's go-to team for expert HVAC and plumbing solutions. Need a repair, upgrade, or seasonal tune-up? Don't let cost hold you back. With 0% financing available, it's easy to get the work done now and pay later. Plus, save $100 on any repair over $500 and keep your system running strong with a professional tune-up before the heat hits. Visit GilletteHVAC.com or call 385-GET-COOL to book today. Homegrown service pros, financing made simple, comfort made easy.
Carrier, turn to the experts. A Carrier factory authorized dealer.
For nearly 70 years, Les Olson IT has been the trusted name for businesses. From state-of-the-art printers and copiers to managed IT services, we have the solutions you need to stay ahead in today's world. And now Les Olson IT is trusted and licensed in Utah for security systems, for technology that helps you work smarter. Les Olson IT, providing solutions that empower your business.
Les Olson IT.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Visa Triple Rewards. Here's Ricky Meese.
A crash in Murray, northbound I-15, just as you're passing 4500 south, blocking a right lane. Still causing a little bit of slowing, but only in the immediate area. The bigger delays we had backing to the south interchange have cleared. The Good Feet stores, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Highs in the upper 50s today and tomorrow with partly cloudy skies. We could see some rain tonight and then again on Wednesday as temperatures fall to the low 50s. Right now, 54 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So on this show, Dave, we're trying to talk about acts of kindness, especially during this holiday season, but also especially because the political environment has just been so toxic. So KSL is doing a thing specifically focused on kindness. And this story I thought was a great way to kick it off. And that is that in conjunction with America's 250th birthday, well, and technically it's the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Right. But anyway, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has announced that they are going to be sending 250 semi-truckloads of food to U.S. food banks. Wow. I think it's incredible.
That's a lot of food.
It's a lot of food. It's
Crazy.
a lot of food. So we have on the line with us Amy Kobeg from Church News telling us about this big operation. Hi, Amy. Thanks for joining us again.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to talk about this.
Yeah. So tell us, like, first of all, how much food does a semi hold?
So that's a great question. So here's a lot of numbers I'm going to throw at you. So approximately 40,000 pounds of food supplies are donated in each truck, and that you have fruits, vegetables, meats, pasta, flour, pancake mix, dried milk. But what that breaks down to is enough food for about 1,400 people for a week. And in total, when you add up all 250 donations, these truckloads, that's about 10 million meals over a year that will be going out to these food banks.
Wow, that's really incredible. 10 million meals. So tell us with this program, is it over the next year? Is it before the holiday season? When are these trucks heading to the food banks?
So the first 5 are heading out this week to a couple of food banks across the nation, including one food bank in Michigan, in Grand Blanc, Michigan, where people will recognize that name. There was a shooting just in September at a Latter-day Saint meeting house and really impacted that the members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints there, and they received a lot of help from the neighbors that they have of other faiths and friends in that community. And so one of the first trucks that's going out this week is going to a food bank in that community as kind of a show of gratitude, acknowledgement, and friendship to acknowledge, hey, we see that we were in need and we see that there is also need in this community and we want to help and be a part of that. So that is one of those going out this week. Another this week going to Oregon, Arkansas, Texas, and Missouri.
Wow. So really all over the country. I mean, we're not talking just local satellites of Salt Lake City here. That's everywhere. That's amazing.
So all 50 states at some point in the next year will receive, at some local food banks will receive these truckloads of food. And the trucks are pretty cool as well. They have the Just Serve logo on them, the America 250 logo, and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And so those trucks are made specifically for, kind of wrapped specifically for this to kind of say, hey, here's what we're doing as they are traveling from the Bishop's Storehouse, the central storehouse in Salt Lake City, to those 50 states.
Can you remind our listeners what justserve.org is?
Yeah, so it is an app and a website that allows people with a need, like you have, I'm pulling it up here, and I'm looking at, you can any food bank or like Days for Girls, Volunteers of America, anyone with like a nonprofit organization can list their needs for volunteers, and then volunteers can go on and find those, and it connects the two, the volunteers and the need for service together in one really convenient place, and you can find those opportunities and serve in your local community. In other communities, there's opportunities online to serve. And part of this whole America 250 is a goal to make it a year of service. And so it really fits in well with Just Serve to say, hey, we want our members of the church and friends to use Just Serve to kind of celebrate this anniversary as well. And here's this great opportunity to find those service opportunities right where you are, and something that maybe fits your schedule, fits your life and what you're looking for to serve.
I love this description of these trucks as like rolling billboards going across the country, spreading that message. Yeah. Amy, during the government shutdown and with all the talk about, cutting of SNAP benefits and the food insecurity that goes along with that, I had some conversations with friends about, what can we be doing to try to help? I'm very lucky in that I've got a great job. I get paid well. I'm not worried about my food, but what about my neighbor? What about, somebody down the street who needs it? And, one of the things that I was thinking about was the longer the shutdown goes on, people have to maybe make choices about, like, do I feed my kids? What about my pets? So I actually arranged with a friend to go get some pet food and donate. And I'm the type of person, I don't often like to talk about doing philanthropic things, right? It feels like I'm drawing attention to it, and I cringe even saying it on the radio here. But like, this is such a great way to empower people to know, like, here is how you can help and directly get involved, rather than just, giving some money, in a very faithless kind of way.
Yeah. And one thing that I always love too is sometimes, it can be easy to go to the store and you get the mac and cheese and you get the box of pasta or whatever. But knowing exactly what's needed at that time that you're donating and what can be the most helpful. I'm just scrolling through Just Serve for local volunteer projects near me right now. And there's a need for women's socks at one organization. And that's something that I wouldn't think of, but that's something that anyone can go and buy some socks, right? And so it's really nice to know, what is actually needed at this time at these nonprofits and organizations that are working with people in need. And you can know that your donation, your volunteer hours are really making a difference at the time that it's needed, and helping someone. Maybe, all donations are great, but some are just a little bit more timely than others.
Yeah.
So, Amy, quick question. This is done in conjunction with America 250, and tell us how that partnership is looking.
Oh, it's really in line with each other. I loved one of the quotes from, you had, let me scroll down and find it, one of the chairs of this America 250, because this is a bipartisan kind of effort coming from Washington, D.C. But she said as she toured the Bishop Central Storehouse last week that although we're technically celebrating this anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, she said, I think this is really for me a moment of unity, not just independence. It's unity here in what the church is doing, what the church has always done, and what the church continues to do. And she said it was really inspiring to see that service effort. She said that defines what we are as Americans. So I think service, helping each other, and giving when you can give is perfect for that America 250. There are also opportunities on the America 250 website. It's america250.org to join in service and opportunities for school-age kids and all sorts of things to get involved, and some really cool stuff going on with that initiative as well.
Thank you so much for joining us. That was Amy Kobe, reporter for the Church News, talking about these 250 semis. Now we know each one holds 40,000 pounds of food.
I wrote it down.
And they will feed 10 million meals.
That's insane.
That
but
is
also
amazing.
So cool.
Yeah. Very kind for a kind act of the day. So when we come back, I've got some fun facts for you, Dave.
Okay, I'm
Stick
waiting.
around.
The KSL News Radio Movie Show comes to My Hearing Centers Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
1847. Our home Utah takes shape. A century later, Utah's home champion is born. Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has earned the trust of over 250,000 Utah homeowners, with techs who rise above to deliver award-winning heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical. Championing the spirit of 47, Whipple is offering $47 off any home repair or service, including drain clearings. Act now and call Whipple Service Champions at 801-896-1947 for the win today.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you spend half your day walking or standing while working? If you have foot, knee, or back problems, the Good Feet store wants to help you like we help Tony.
Pain that I experience the most is foot pain from being on my feet all day. You're having to kind of talk to yourself through the whole shift, like, I got this, I can do this. Before, I felt defeated, and now it's like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. A whole new life, like sunshine coming on.
And how about working more comfortably, like Dennis?
Working at an amusement park, it's always on your feet. I just couldn't take it, but I didn't have a choice. I just couldn't believe that putting these arch supports in made that much of a difference that quickly. I could do my job and I could take care of my family. I know what my tomorrow's gonna be. It's gonna be positive.
You deserve a better life too. Stop in the Good Feet store today. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Hi,
Hi, I'm Lexi, your friend and jeweler at Shane Company. If you're planning to propose this holiday, we're ready to make creating your engagement ring a warm, welcoming experience. At Shane Company, we're all about your style, your budget, your dream engagement ring. Explore the widest selection of diamonds and ring settings ready for you to see in person, or visit us at shaneco.com. You'll have your ring in days, not weeks. Our friendly jewelry consultants don't work on commission. There's never any pressure, just perfect proposals. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Silver Pro Solutions is a Utah-based consulting firm helping small businesses run smoother. From payroll and bookkeeping to HR and virtual COO support, they provide practical, done-for-you solutions that save time and help businesses grow. Owner and business efficiency expert Soraya Bronson joins us with more.
Running a business shouldn't mean running yourself into the ground. At Silver Pro Solutions, we help small business owners simplify the backend, bookkeeping, payroll, hiring systems, and more, so they can lead with clarity, focus on growth, and build something that lasts. We're passionate about helping entrepreneurs step into leadership, make a real impact, and create a business that supports the life they truly want. When business owners are supported, they can contribute more to their teams, families, and communities while driving meaningful growth. Small businesses are doing incredible things in Utah and beyond, and we're proud to support them every step of the way. By streamlining operations and providing expert guidance, we help entrepreneurs free up time, reduce stress, and make smarter decisions that drive long-term success. Learn more and connect with us at silverprosolutions.com.
By supporting Utah businesses behind the scenes, Silver Pro Solutions enables entrepreneurs to focus on growth, leadership, and innovation. Their efforts help companies thrive, create jobs, and contribute to a stronger, more resilient economy. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Mr. Max, suiting for every important chapter of your life. Weddings, proms, new job, any celebration, mission callings, and more. Mr. Max there to suit your needs with 9 locations or MrMac.com.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So, Dave, I told you about some of the fun facts, but we were just talking with Amy Kobabe about this effort to give 10 million meals, right? But it doesn't have to be that gigantic either. And one of the things that I love is that there are a lot of people who will weigh in and let us know what they're doing. So one of our texters said that their family is doing a service project for Tiny Tim's Foundation that makes wooden cars for kids in other countries, which is very cool because well, there's lots of reasons it's cool, but one of the reasons is I've actually distributed some of those cars.
Really?
Yeah, on a humanitarian trip that I took. I took over with me boxes of these toy cars. And, you know, I remember last year, right around Thanksgiving, the founder of that foundation passed away. He was Alton Thacker. He was 89, and he died just right around Thanksgiving, November 26th of last year.
And I feel ashamed because I'm completely unfamiliar with this. Tell me a little bit more about Tiny Tim.
So it's Tiny Tim's Foundation, and it was a labor of love that began in 1996. I think if I remember the story correctly, he was he had retired, and this was something he wanted to do. So between 96 and 2024, he gave away something like 1.7 million toys or something. I don't know. Lots, so many in 110 countries. Like these cute little cars. And if you think about going to an orphanage, for example, or you're in a country where they don't have, you know, wooden floors or anything like that, these cars, they're basically a simple shape. They kind of look a little bit like a VW Bug, and they've got these wooden wheels, and so they roll really easily. They're not going to get rusted because they're not made out of metal, and just a true labor of love. So that's what they do. And one of the things I love about this opportunity on this show is that we can talk about organizations that a lot of people maybe haven't heard about.
Well, you even bringing that up sparked my mind about another organization. Have you ever heard of Project Linus?
I have not.
So Project Linus, I only know about because I had a friend who lost a child very young. And her child was in the hospital, and while her child was in the hospital, received a blanket from Project Linus. So you think about Linus from the Peanuts, the character that's carrying the blanket around, right?
Yeah.
So kids who end up with, you know, critical illness, they're in a scary place in the hospital. Oftentimes, you know, parents are stressed. They can't help. And what Project Linus does is people hand make blankets. They donate them to Project Linus, and they distribute to kids at hospitals throughout the country. They have a local chapter, actually, I think a couple chapters here in Utah. that I'm aware, do that work here. And I just always love to give a shout out to that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
and I want to give a shout out to more organizations. So if anybody's out there like listening and you want us to talk about an organization you love, let us know.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so fun facts of the day. I do this with Greg, and he's learned a lot. So so maybe you'll learn something too. It's Monday, and it's National Homemade Bread Day.
Okay.
So there's a day for everything.
There's a day for everything, but I will say growing up, I always knew when there were black bananas on the counter, I was going to get banana bread. So
That's
now
right.
you say homemade bread day, and all I think is
banana bread.
I need to call my mom and see if she's still making banana bread, because that
that's
sounds
awesome.
really good right about now.
For me, homemade bread it's the smell, right? It's so good. So here's a fun fact about bread. Archaeologists, 2650 BC, they found artwork dating back at least that far to Egyptians harvesting grain and making bread.
Making bread?
2,600.
I'm doing math on my fingers
like
here.
4,600 years ago.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
4,600 years ago.
Okay.
So when Pompeii, erupted and buried, a volcano erupted and buried Pompeii, they buried the ovens that some of them still had bread in them, right? So I love bread. I used to make homemade bread more often when I wasn't working outside my home, but we still, like for Thanksgiving, we will for sure make bread. And it has turned out my husband has turned it into the family's roll maker. So I don't have to do it anymore.
Okay. You start talking about rolls, now
Homemade
I'm fully on
fluffy
board.
rolls.
Yeah,
Right?
cinnamon rolls, that's my jam. I'm there.
Okay, so on this day also, and this one we're going back a little ways, this is, let's see, in 1558, the Elizabethan age began as 25-year-old Elizabeth became Queen Elizabeth after the death of her half-sister who was clean, quote, Bloody Mary. So that was 1558. 1777, the Articles of Confederation were submitted to the states for their approval. And in 1800, on this day, so November 17th, 1800, the 6th United States Congress met in Washington, D.C. for the first time. So they had been meeting in Philadelphia, I think, if I remember.
Yeah.
So this was the first time they went to D.C. A lot of rooms were unfinished, but they still showed up to do the work there. Okay. Also, on this day, in 1913, the first ship sailed through the Panama Canal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Feels like it's been around for a long time,
it's been around.
right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking back, boy, my history is embarrassing. That's Teddy Roosevelt was
Yep, that's right.
instrumental in getting the Panama Canal built.
Yep.
And within the last number of years, there's been some political talk about the U.S.'s role in managing the Panama
Well, we gave it back.
Right.
Now we want to take it back.
Right,
I don't
right.
know, something like that. I do. But speaking of canals, though, this is going back even further. This is 1869. The Suez Canal opened. So interesting that it was the same day. But
I had never pieced that together.
The Suez connects the Mediterranean and the Red Seas.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Critically important for international
trade.
Yeah. As we've seen in the not too distant past when a ship got stuck.
Oh, I know.
In the Suez.
So I watched that video and the progress. Like, talk about a 3-point turn, right? He had to do like a 49-point turn, more than that. It just got wedged in sideways and just blocked the whole
If
thing.
you've ever felt embarrassed trying to parallel park downtown on a busy day, like, don't worry, it's nowhere near as bad as being the ship captain trying to.
That is exactly right.
I'm sorry, international trade, you have to halt while I figure out how to get my boat out of this canal.
Speaking of trade, in 1993 on this day, the U.S. House of Representatives approved NAFTA, which is the North American Free Trade Agreement, also somewhat in the news recently. And then this is a political thing. In 1973, President Richard Nixon at the time addressed the media and said, I am not a crook.
I can see, I was not alive for that, but I can throw my 2 fingers in
Right.
the air and do the. Yeah, you're not going to have old Nixon to kick around anymore, I'm afraid.
Right. But anyway, those are some of the fun facts for today. There's some others too, of course. But
well, those are good ones. Yeah, I mean, you bring up Nixon and 73. I'm thinking that was only a couple of years before the film All the President's Men, starring recently passed away Utah Robert Redford, came out. And I don't think when I first saw that film I had appreciated how quickly on the heels of that controversy that book and that movie came out.
Yeah, it was quick, wasn't it? But it was, you remember from Nixon, it was not the act, it was the cover-up, right?
Yeah.
And now I wonder if the American public, if we would just roll our eyes and say whatever, politics is politics.
If Watergate happened today in our media landscape, how would the American public respond?
I think maybe with a shrug.
Question.
Yeah,
That's
just
very
like
likely. Yeah.
All right. Today is also, just so you know, National Unfriend Day.
Oh.
But up your alley, it's National Hiking Day.
What?
Yeah.
Now wait a minute. Why is National Hiking Day in the middle of November when it,
That is a really good question.
Probably not. Now, I will say last weekend was amazing hiking weather in Utah. I'm not
until Sunday,
well,
right?
Sunday, yeah, but I mean Saturday it was like 65. That's
I'll
hike that all day long. But.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, and sometimes we can find out the information about why the day is that day. But in any case, you can celebrate because that is National Hiking Day.
And can I take a loaf of homemade bread because apparently these are the same day?
Take it hiking
day on my hiking day.
That's right. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, look, that's it for Inside Sources today. Say thanks for joining me, Dave. It was really been
great
fun.
Time. Thanks, Holly.
Coming up on Midday with Maria Chaleos. Earlier, we talked about the FBI's involvement in a Saratoga Springs double homicide investigation, and Maria will give you the latest as FBI agents are sweeping the Jordan River. Stay with us on KSL News Radio.